When Shirley regains the memories of her so-called past life, it feels as though she has lost her lifelong partner. She cries bitterly, believing that fate is unbearably cruel. The thought that she will never again be able to eat her favorite hamburger, beef bowl, or ramen fills her with sadness and despair. 5 years pass after that realization. One day, Shirley is caught cooking once again. Her mother immediately notices and scolds her after realizing that she is deep-frying food yet again. She reminds Shirley that she has warned her countless times not to keep doing it because both cooking oil and firewood are expensive resources. Shirley attempts to justify her actions by claiming that she is simply practicing for her future as a bride. She insists that at the very least she should know how to prepare snacks. However, her mother dismisses the excuse, pointing out that only nobles and members of the royal family regularly eat snacks. She also questions exactly whose bride Shirley is supposedly preparing to become, especially since she is already 15 years old and does not even have a single marriage prospect. Shirley realizes that her mother is right. Even in her previous life, bridal training had only been an excuse. As an adult in her former world, she had never truly learned such household skills for the sake of marriage. Instead, having grown up in an age of abundance where food had always been readily available, she now finds the meals in this world disappointingly bland. Rather than prioritizing romance or marriage, Shirley has devoted herself to a single ambition that she has cherished ever since, recovering the memories of her past life. If the foods she once loved do not exist in this world, then she is determined to recreate them herself. She vows that, as long as she continues to draw breath, she will someday be reunited with the flavors of her previous life. During the 5 years that have passed, Shirley has already managed to recreate several dishes, along with a variety of seasonings. Even so, her pursuit of richer and more satisfying flavors never comes to an end. Her original plan is simply to spend the rest of her life enjoying good food and continuing to cook to her heart's content. Just then, someone knocks on the door. Shirley's mother wonders who could possibly be visiting them. Standing outside is a refined woman named Claire, who introduces herself as the head maid of the royal palace. The moment Shirley hears Claire's title, she respectfully bows and introduces herself while politely welcoming the distinguished guest into their humble home. Claire observes Shirley for a moment and remarks that the rumors regarding Shirley's unusual personality appear to be true. Shirley silently wonders why such an elegant and high-ranking woman would have business with someone like her. Claire explains that she has heard stories about Shirley's habit of preparing unusual dishes. Shirley confirms that she often makes her parents and neighbors taste the various foods she creates. Claire clarifies that this is precisely what she has come to discuss, and politely requests that Shirley prepare one of those dishes for her. Shirley hesitates and claims that she has already run out of ingredients, implying that she cannot cook anything at the moment. Before the excuse can succeed, her mother immediately exposes the lie by pointing out that Shirley had been cooking only moments earlier. She even reveals that Shirley still has another dish hidden in the well behind the house. With no way to avoid the request any longer, Shirley prepares the food and presents it before Claire. She explains that the dish is called potato chips, while privately wondering why Claire has truly come to visit her, wishing that she could simply have a moment to rest instead. Claire carefully examines the unfamiliar food with visible curiosity, having never seen anything like it before. Shirley then explains the preparation process, stating that potatoes are first sliced into very thin pieces and soaked in salt water. After ensuring that every slice has been thoroughly dried, they are finally deep-fried until they become crisp and golden. Once the potato slices are finished frying, Shirley seasons them by sprinkling salt over the top. At first glance, the dish appears to be nothing more than a simple snack. However, she explains that the final flavor depends greatly on several important details, including how thoroughly the potato slices are dried beforehand, how long they are fried, and how thinly or thickly they are cut. Although the recipe seems simple, it actually requires a great deal of precision and attention to detail. Claire studies the unfamiliar snack with curiosity, unsure of how it is meant to be eaten. Shirley explains that it is meant to be picked up by hand and bitten into directly, so that the crisp, crunchy texture can be fully enjoyed. Claire follows Shirley's instructions and takes her first bite. To her own surprise, she finds herself unable to stop eating. She continues reaching for more, praising the snack for its incredible flavor. She realizes that it is made from potatoes, yet she remarks that it tastes completely different from anything she has ever experienced before. Shirley explains that she is not surprised by Claire's reaction. She points out that, within this kingdom, potatoes are almost always either steamed or boiled, so people have never considered preparing them in this manner. Hearing this, Claire begins to wonder whether Shirley has perhaps traveled to another kingdom where such recipes are common. The question immediately causes Shirley to think about her memories from her previous life and the completely different world she once lived in. She realizes that explaining the truth would only make her appear suspicious, and she jokingly imagines herself being placed on a wanted list if she revealed everything. Without hesitation, she quickly denies having visited another kingdom. Instead, she explains that her father is a merchant, allowing her to use that as a believable excuse before continuing to speak at length in an effort to change the subject. Claire accepts the explanation and comments that the dish is certainly a fascinating creation. Her attention then shifts toward another dessert placed beside the potato chips, and she asks Shirley what it is. Shirley proudly introduces it as flan, which she considers the king of all snacks. She explains that it is made by combining eggs, sugar, and milk before gently steaming the mixture until it sets. Although the recipe itself is fairly easy to recreate in this world, the ingredients are far more expensive than they had been in her previous life. Furthermore, without something as convenient as a refrigerator, those costly ingredients spoil easily if they are not handled carefully. Thinking about it makes Shirley realize just how luxurious and convenient her former life truly had been. Claire asks whether Shirley also invented this dessert herself. Shirley gives an answer that suggests she did, even though she knows she is lying. She convinces herself that the deception is necessary because telling the truth would only complicate matters further. At the same time, she silently apologizes to whoever originally invented flan in her previous life, vaguely imagining that it might have been some nobleman or perhaps a baron, although she honestly has no idea. Claire examines the dessert more closely and asks whether it is created by solidifying eggs. Shirley explains that there is also a layer of caramel at the bottom and recommends that the caramel be eaten together with the custard to fully appreciate the flavor. Claire takes her first spoonful and is immediately captivated. She praises the dessert, describing how it melts effortlessly in her mouth while leaving behind a delicate sweetness. She remarks that she can truly sense the amount of care and effort Shirley invested in creating it. Meanwhile, Shirley is crying internally because the flan had originally been prepared for her own enjoyment. After tasting both dishes, Claire questions why Shirley chose to serve them together. She feels that the sweet, creamy flan and the salty potato chips do not seem like a combination that naturally belongs together. Shirley immediately rejects that opinion. She passionately explains that Claire is completely mistaken because the pairing represents the ultimate combination. According to Shirley, the soft sweetness of the flan and the fragrant saltiness of the potato chips complement one another perfectly. It is precisely because they are complete opposites that they create harmony. Eating them together allows each flavor to enhance the other, revealing limitless possibilities that neither dish could achieve on its own. For that reason, she firmly believes that they are meant to be perfect partners. As Shirley enthusiastically continues explaining her philosophy of food, her mother desperately pleads with her to return to reality. After witnessing Shirley's extraordinary cooking skills, Claire reaches a decision. She concludes that Shirley should come to the royal palace and work there as a cook. To everyone's surprise, Shirley immediately refuses the offer. An awkward silence fills the room before her mother explodes in disbelief. She scolds Shirley for saying something so outrageous and reminds her that refusing an invitation from the royal palace is unbelievably rude. She then turns toward Claire and repeatedly apologizes, begging her to overlook Shirley's disrespectful response. Claire calmly reassures Shirley's mother that there is no need to worry. She explains that she is merely someone who works at the palace and has no intention of forcing Shirley to accept the invitation. Nevertheless, she admits that she is genuinely curious about Shirley's reason for refusing such an honorable opportunity, especially since serving as a palace cook is considered one of the highest honors a chef can receive. Shirley explains that she cooks only for herself. Cooking is her personal hobby and source of enjoyment, and she believes that serving her food in the royal palace would take away that freedom. More importantly, she would no longer be able to freely experiment with new recipes or continue researching original dishes at her own pace. Above all else, she believes that cooking should remain something she does for her own happiness. Claire listens carefully before presenting another perspective. She explains that, within the royal palace, Shirley would have access to the finest cookware available, along with an abundance of high-quality ingredients. Even more importantly, she would be given the freedom to research and create as many new dishes as her heart desires. Upon hearing the offer, Shirley immediately expresses her desire to begin working at the royal palace without delay. Thus, her new life as a palace maid officially begins. She gazes around with excitement, admiring the palace's breathtaking beauty. Inwardly, she apologizes to her parents, hoping they will forgive her because, if working here allows her to continue cooking whatever she desires, she is more than willing to devote herself completely to the opportunity. In fact, her passion for cooking is so overwhelming that she jokingly considers herself the kind of woman who would even sell her soul to the devil for it. As she walks through the palace corridors, Shirley asks Claire whether they are heading to the kitchen first. Claire calmly explains that they are not, as there is something else they must attend to before that. While making their way through the palace, Shirley overhears an important discussion taking place. Lord Miles respectfully states that he has carefully considered the request to raise taxes. However, he firmly objects to the proposal, believing that such a decision would place an excessive burden upon the people's livelihoods. In response, Lord Miles argues that being too lenient toward the citizens would only cause them to become complacent and self-indulgent. Furthermore, he points out that there is no guarantee the kingdom will remain safe from foreign invasion, making it essential to gather sufficient resources and prepare for any future conflict. Seated upon the throne is a remarkably young boy, and the sight immediately causes Shirley's eyes to widen in surprise. Despite his youthful appearance, he calmly responds that Lord Miles never seems to tire of making the same argument. He declares that the people themselves are the kingdom, and therefore should never be made to suffer unnecessarily. He further explains that exhausting the people through excessive burdens will ultimately exhaust the kingdom itself. Having made his decision, he dismisses Lord Miles. Claire quietly explains to Shirley that the young ruler is Prince William. Since his father fell ill when William was only 10 years old, the prince has ruled the kingdom in his father's place ever since. Shirley silently observes him, thinking that his face remains almost completely expressionless. Claire then tells Shirley that serving Prince William is considered one of the highest honors a maid can receive. Shirley initially assumes this means she will be preparing meals for him. However, Claire quickly clarifies that the royal family's main meals are handled exclusively by the palace's professional chefs. The responsibility assigned to the maids is preparing the prince's daily snacks. To fulfill this role, the palace specifically recruits young women who specialize in making sweets and pastries, assigning them to work diligently every day. Claire then officially informs Shirley that, beginning today, she will serve as one of the palace's snack maids, whose duty is to prepare snacks for Prince William. Hearing this, Shirley immediately realizes what an incredible opportunity she has received. She will be paid to make snacks for the prince, while using the palace's resources and someone else's money to continue researching and experimenting with new recipes. In her mind, she concludes that this is the greatest job imaginable. As she looks around, Shirley notices several other maids already working in the snack preparation area. She assumes she can simply ask them about the prince's favorite treats. Before long, a familiar aroma reaches her nose, convincing her that someone is currently baking a cake. The moment she steps into the snack kitchen, her eyes widen in complete disbelief. She can hardly believe what she is seeing. A modern-looking stove stands before her, complete with functioning knobs. Even more astonishing is the presence of a refrigerator. The entire kitchen looks far more advanced than anything she ever expected to find. Claire explains that both the stove and the refrigerator were created by the palace witch. Curious, she asks Shirley how she already seems to know how to operate them. Without hesitation, Shirley excitedly replies that these are exactly the kinds of things she has always dreamed and fantasized about having. Claire decides not to dwell on the matter any further. Instead, she calls for everyone's attention, instructing all of the snack maids to stop what they are doing and gather together. She announces that a new maid will be joining them starting today and invites Shirley to introduce herself. Shirley politely introduces herself, saying that her name is Shirley and that she looks forward to working with everyone. However, after noticing the rather cold reaction from the gathered maids, she cannot help but wonder whether she is truly welcome among them. Breaking the silence, one of the maids respectfully steps forward and addresses Claire. She explains that every team within the snack division is already at full capacity and believes that there is no need to assign another maid to their section. Shirley thinks that everyone already has their own friends and established groups, so such a reaction toward a completely unfamiliar team member is only natural. Claire reassures the maids not to worry, explaining that Shirley will be placed in charge of her own team. The announcement immediately infuriates one of the maids. She argues that leading one's own team is an honor reserved only for those who have earned recognition after working tirelessly under their superiors for many years. In her opinion, there is no reason a newcomer should suddenly be allowed to become the head of her own team. Claire immediately silences the maid, addressing her by the name Jacqueline. Although Jacqueline attempts to continue protesting, Claire sternly questions whether she intends to defy her authority. The warning is enough to make Jacqueline fall completely silent. Claire explains that she personally scouted Shirley because of her ability to create unique dishes. She firmly declares that she will not accept any objections regarding the decision. Hearing this, Shirley silently wonders whether Claire has truly considered what her life inside the palace is going to be like after placing such a burden on her from the very beginning. Claire then asks whether anyone would be willing to volunteer as Shirley's assistant. At once, everyone's attention shifts toward one particular maid. As expected, Anna is chosen to become Shirley's assistant. Claire remarks that this will be a valuable opportunity for Anna. She also tells Shirley that if she has any questions, she should simply ask Anna for help. With those instructions given, Claire quietly leaves the room. Watching her depart, Shirley sarcastically thanks Claire in her mind. She even jokingly swears that one day she is going to throw a burning hot pizza straight at Claire's face. The moment Claire is gone, Jacqueline turns toward Shirley and angrily questions what exactly her deal is. She wonders whether Shirley is some famous chef, considering that she suddenly arrives without any notice and is immediately treated like someone important. Shirley calmly explains that she is nothing more than a small-town girl who enjoys cooking as a hobby. According to her, the head maid unexpectedly appeared at her house one day and invited her to work at the royal palace, so she simply accepted the offer and came. Jacqueline cannot understand the explanation and questions why the head maid would personally scout an ordinary girl from a small town. Shirley honestly admits that she would like to know the answer to that question herself. Rather than calming Jacqueline down, the response only makes her even angrier, leaving her wondering whether Shirley is actually joking with her. At that moment, another maid steps forward and remarks that although none of them truly understand what the head maid is thinking, they should at least introduce themselves out of common courtesy. The first maid warmly welcomes Shirley and introduces herself as Christina, the leader of Team 1. Shirley sincerely thanks her for the warm welcome. Christina then tells Shirley that she should address her as elder sister Christina. The request fills Shirley with excitement. She thinks this is exactly the kind of relationship she has always imagined, and she quickly realizes that perhaps things will not be so bad after all. Without hesitation, Shirley cheerfully addresses her as elder sister Christina. She then awkwardly adds that she may be mute, but she still looks forward to working with everyone. Christina quietly assumes that Shirley must have intended to say new instead of mute. After the introductions conclude, Christina instructs everyone to return to their respective workstations. As the maids resume their duties, Shirley notices that Anna appears nervous and is quietly sniffling. Anna suddenly slaps her own cheeks in an attempt to gather her courage before encouraging herself to get moving. She then introduces herself properly, explaining that her name is Anna and that she has only been working at the palace for half a year. She also says that it is nice to meet Shirley. Shirley happily replies that it is nice to meet her as well, instinctively calling her elder sister Anna. Anna quickly shakes her head and tells Shirley that there is no need for such formalities. She encourages her to simply call her Anna instead. Shirley gladly agrees and warmly repeats that it is nice to meet Anna. She also admits that things may become difficult now that she has suddenly joined everyone. Anna dismisses the concern, explaining that there is no point worrying about it at the moment. She points out that it is almost time to prepare the prince's snacks, so they need to get everything ready. The mention of snack time immediately fills Shirley with excitement, but Anna quickly crushes her expectations by telling her that the snack is not meant for them. She instructs Shirley to listen carefully because their real duty during snack time is to prepare and organize everything for everyone else. She explains that snack time is practically a battlefield for the palace maids, where every second matters, so Shirley needs to hurry and get changed at once. Once outside, all of the maids respectfully welcome the young master. Curious, Shirley asks Anna why everyone addresses him as the young master instead of calling him His Highness. Anna explains that it is simply the customary way for the palace maids to address him. Christina then steps forward and presents William with sacre, a type of cake prepared in the kingdom by mixing dried fruits into a batter made from flour, eggs, butter, and several other ingredients. In this kingdom, the dessert is known as sacre. Shirley has no idea what it would have been called in her previous life. The cake has an extremely crumbly texture, so much so that it is apparently difficult to eat without having a drink alongside it. Looking at the enormous serving placed before William, Shirley thinks that it is far too much food for a single person. However, her eyes widen in surprise as she watches William calmly finish every single cake on his plate. After he is asked whether there is any dish he would like to have more of, he immediately requests 2 additional plates from Team 1. Shirley can hardly believe that this is considered the young master's ordinary snack time. To her even greater surprise, she overhears the maids whispering among themselves that the young master did not eat very much again today. They lament that the situation is terrible because he used to ask for 5 additional plates. They also worry that he ate only half of what their team had prepared, making them feel completely inadequate. Wondering whether the dried fruit mixture was the problem, they begin discussing the possibility of selecting even higher quality fruits next time. As Shirley looks around for Anna, Jacqueline calls out to the newcomer and remarks that she is probably wondering why they served only Sacré. Declaring herself to be the leader of Team 4, Jacqueline says that she might be willing to explain the reason behind it. Shirley politely expresses her gratitude in advance and addresses Jacqueline as her elder sister. Jacqueline immediately rejects the title, insisting that Shirley should never call her that because the thought of having Shirley as her youngest sister makes her feel awful. Hearing that response, Shirley quietly decides that she will simply call her Jacqueline from now on. Jacqueline then explains that Sacré was the favorite snack of the young master's mother, the queen consort. If she remembers correctly, the queen consort passed away about half a year earlier. The king loved Her Highness deeply, and the overwhelming grief left him gravely ill. As a result, the responsibility of governing the kingdom fell upon the young master's shoulders. Jacqueline believes that it was around that very time that he also stopped smiling. Because of those painful memories, the palace continues to serve Sacré in remembrance of Her Highness. Upon hearing the explanation, Shirley finally understands why everyone insists on making the cake. Even so, she honestly admits to herself that crumbly cakes are simply not to her taste. She much prefers moist, soft cakes, like the ones she remembers enjoying. To put it simply, Sacré is not the kind of dessert that suits her palate. Jacqueline presents one of the cakes to Shirley, explaining that it belongs to their team and insisting that she should give it a try. Accepting the cake with gratitude, Shirley thinks to herself that although it may not be the kind of dessert she usually enjoys, her personal motto is to eat whatever is placed in front of her. With that in mind, she takes a bite, only for her expression to brighten as she realizes that it is genuinely delicious. Jacqueline proudly remarks that, even so, their cake still does not hold a candle to the one prepared by her elder sister from Team 1. She admits that no matter how hard they practice or improve their recipe, they simply cannot match her skill. Meanwhile, Shirley happily reaches for another cake, marveling at how amazing it tastes. Jacqueline immediately shouts at her, demanding to know who gave her permission to eat so many. Shirley, however, is far more concerned about whether the tea has arrived yet. Jacqueline loudly informs her that no one is bringing any tea. Shirley points out that she cannot properly judge a cake like this without having something to drink alongside it. She reasons that if someone wants another person to evaluate their food, then serving it with tea should be common courtesy. Having no other choice, Jacqueline reluctantly pours Shirley a cup of tea herself. Once Shirley has a proper drink, Jacqueline asks whether she honestly believes she could create something as delicious as the cake she has just eaten. She explains that the young master is an exceptionally refined connoisseur who refuses to eat just any ordinary dessert. Although she wishes Shirley good luck, her words carry an unmistakable hint of doubt. Listening to her, Shirley realizes that Jacqueline is certainly a unique person, yet she does not actually dislike her. Even if the young master truly is a connoisseur, Shirley cannot help noticing that he never moved a single facial muscle throughout snack time, making it impossible to tell what he genuinely thinks of the food. A little later, Anna suggests that Shirley should stop observing and try making something herself. She admits that she would like to see Shirley's skills in action. However, Shirley is far more interested in examining all of the available ingredients. Anna questions whether Shirley is even listening to her at all. Instead of answering directly, Shirley wonders aloud where such remarkable ingredients come from. Anna explains that they are gathered from the palace garden located behind the royal residence. The garden is filled with rare ingredients, grown from seeds collected from all over the world. Witches employed by the palace use their magic to cultivate the fruits and vegetables, allowing them to flourish with extraordinary efficiency. Hearing this, Shirley is thoroughly amazed. She already knew that witches existed in this world, but she never imagined they could accomplish something as remarkable as magically growing crops while also creating conveniences comparable to refrigerators and stovetops. Anna quickly reminds Shirley that there is a far more important matter to focus on and asks whether she is actually capable of making sacrés. Shirley honestly admits that she has never made the cake before in her life. The confession causes Anna to lose her composure and disbelief. Even so, Shirley confidently reassures her by saying that there is no way to know what she can accomplish unless she gives it a try. Determined to succeed, she declares that they will simply do their very best. 1 week later, snack time arrives once again. Claire respectfully informs William that a new team will begin presenting its desserts starting that day. The team is Team 5, led by Shirley. Stepping forward with confidence, Shirley introduces herself as the leader of Team 5 and respectfully states that it is an honor to serve the young master. As she prepares to present their dessert, she silently encourages herself, reminding herself that her team has spent the entire week practicing tirelessly. There is simply no way that what they have prepared could possibly be bad. There is absolutely no way. 5 days later, Shirley and Anna are on the verge of losing all hope, convinced that everything is over for them. During the first 4 days, Prince William had at least taken a single bite from their creations each day. However, on the 5th day, he does not even touch the dish they have prepared. To them, this can only mean one thing: that what they have made is not even worthy of being tasted. Jacqueline wastes no time mocking Shirley, calling her an idiot, and reminding her that she had already told her to pack her belongings and leave the palace. Unable to bear the pressure any longer, Shirley decides to step away for a while to clear her mind. Every single day revolves around preparing a cake that she personally dislikes, only for the prince to ignore it completely. Afterward, she is forced to throw the untouched desserts away, leaving her with an overwhelming sense of guilt each time. The rest of her day is consumed by her responsibilities as a maid and by baking sacré, leaving her with no opportunity to prepare any food that she herself enjoys eating. To make matters even worse, her fellow maids continue avoiding her. As these thoughts weigh heavily on her heart, she begins to wonder whether Jacqueline has been right all along, and whether she truly should gather her belongings and leave. While wandering through the palace grounds, she unexpectedly encounters Claire. Claire stops her and makes it clear that Shirley still does not understand the true reason she was brought to the palace. She urges Shirley to think carefully about what she truly values in her life and to reflect upon it before making any decisions. The following day arrives, and once again all of the maids gather to welcome Prince William. Anna quietly reassures Shirley that they have done everything they possibly could. Shirley responds with confidence, convincing herself that everything will surely be fine. When the time comes for Team 5 to present their dish, Claire announces their turn. Shirley steps forward and presents their creation to Prince William. The unusual appearance of the dish immediately leaves everyone around them confused, as none of the maids can even identify what they are looking at. Shirley has prepared something entirely different from the traditional sacré tricolor bread. The sight instantly provokes Jacqueline's anger. She cannot believe that Shirley has dared to serve something other than sacré, and inwardly questions what she is trying to accomplish with such a reckless decision. Meanwhile, Prince William carefully examines the bread. His attention is drawn to the decoration on its surface, which is shaped into a smiling face. Shirley explains that the design is simply a smiley face. The cheerful appearance unexpectedly brings a smile to William's own face. Curious about the unusual dish, he wonders how it is supposed to be eaten. Shirley explains that he may begin from whichever section he prefers because each of the 3 colored portions contains a different filling, allowing him to experience a different flavor with every bite. William takes his very first bite. The moment he tastes it, he is genuinely surprised by how delicious it is. Watching his reaction, Shirley can barely contain her excitement. Deep inside, she celebrates the success of her gamble and silently cheers with all her heart. The section Prince William chooses first is filled with rich chocolate cream. The moment Shirley decides to abandon sacré and prepare something entirely different, she places all of her hopes on chocolate, a flavor she has loved from the bottom of her heart ever since her previous life. Chocolate becomes the centerpiece of her creation, with cocoa serving as its main ingredient. Cocoa is highly nutritious, and she remembers that, in her previous life, even nobles would consume cocoa in various forms, including salads. However, this world has not yet developed cocoa into the chocolate that she knows. Because of that, she has no choice but to teach herself how to make chocolate from scratch. The entire process begins with roasting the cocoa beans while their skins are still intact. Once roasted, the skins can be removed with ease. After peeling away the outer layer, the inner beans are separated and prepared for the next stage. The real challenge begins afterward. Using nothing more than a mortar, the beans must be ground repeatedly, again and again and again and again. This proves to be by far the most exhausting part of the entire process. No matter how much effort is poured into it, the cocoa beans stubbornly refuse to become a fine, smooth powder. Any remaining clumps would completely ruin the texture, making it impossible to create a proper chocolate cream. Determined not to give up, Shirley and Anna continue grinding the beans relentlessly for countless hours. They keep working late into the night without stopping. Before long, both of them feel less like enthusiastic bakers and more like exhausted slaves, endlessly grinding away under the crack of a whip. Indeed, Shirley and Anna truly become slaves to chocolate. After somehow grinding the cocoa beans into a fine enough powder, they place the mixture over a bain-marie. Once it reaches a thick, smooth consistency, they add a generous amount of sugar. All that remains is to pour it into a container and leave it to cool inside the refrigerator until it hardens into chocolate. Afterward, they chop the chocolate into small pieces and melt it once again. By mixing it with a cream made from milk and water, they finally complete the chocolate cream that serves as the filling for the bread. Shirley remembers making chocolate from raw cocoa in her previous life. Back then, the process had been so exhausting that she had sworn she would never do it again. Yet now, as she watches the excitement on Prince William's face, that promise completely flies out the window. William remarks that the soft, moist bread pairs perfectly with the filling and comments that it is incredibly delicious. He then remembers Shirley mentioning that the other sections contain different fillings and wonders if that is true. Shirley confirms that it is and recommends that he continue eating to discover each filling for himself. William takes a second bite and immediately praises that one as well. Seeing his reaction, Shirley can barely contain her excitement because the smiling face section is filled with custard cream. Thankfully, this sweet little champion is much easier to make than the chocolate. Although it still requires proper technique, that falls comfortably within Shirley's area of expertise. William then tastes the third section and enjoys that one just as much. Its filling consists of homemade strawberry jam that Shirley personally brings with her, carefully choosing the finest batch she has prepared. Individually, each one is delicious: a chocolate bread, a custard cream bread, and a strawberry jam bread. Every one of them is a pastry that Shirley dearly loved in her previous life, but the miracle pastry that combines all three flavors into a single treat is called tricolor bread. After finishing the first one, William wonders whether that is all there is. Shirley quickly assures him that there is plenty more before excitedly asking Anna to bring out the rest. Moments later, several more tricolor breads are placed before him. William happily continues eating, repeatedly commenting on how delicious they are. Out of all the fillings, the black one, the chocolate cream, becomes his clear favorite. Watching him enjoy every bite moves Shirley in a way she has never experienced before. Until now, she has always thought of cooking as something she does solely for herself. Yet as she watches William smiling while eating the food she made with her own hands, she realizes just how rewarding it can be to bring happiness to someone else through her cooking. Once William finishes, Claire politely asks whether he would like anything else. He indicates that he has had enough for the day. Claire then turns her attention towards Shirley, noting that she has prepared a rather unusual dish today. Curious about her decision, she asks what inspired her to make it. Shirley explains that the dish is incredibly special to her. She wants the young master to experience something that she personally treasures. More than that, she hopes he can genuinely enjoy his snack time by tasting a variety of different flavors instead of eating the same thing every day. To make that possible, both she and Anna pour every bit of their effort into preparing it. Claire praises Shirley's reasoning, believing it to be an excellent way of thinking. She acknowledges that providing the extremely busy young master with a truly enjoyable snack time is a thoughtful and worthwhile goal. Silence fills the room for a brief moment before William shifts his attention toward Shirley and asks about her. Without hesitation, Shirley introduces herself, explaining that she is the leader of Team 5 and that her name is Shirley. William lets out a small sound of understanding before asking whether she can serve the same snack again tomorrow. The mere thought of all the grinding the two of them have just endured makes Shirley and Claire feel as though they want to collapse on the spot, yet they instantly agree with bright smiles. William thanks them warmly and says he is already looking forward to tomorrow's snack before leaving. The moment he is gone, the maids practically launch themselves at Shirley and Claire like a flock of overly curious birds. Everyone desperately wants to know what in the world they have just made, because, to everyone's absolute shock, the young master actually smiled. As the questions continue flying from every direction, Shirley apologizes to the others, excuses herself, and tells Anna that she is leaving everything in her hands. Without wasting another second, she rushes after Claire and immediately realizes that this must have been Claire's plan from the very beginning. Claire intentionally had her prepare something completely different to break the long-standing custom of serving only sacré. Claire calmly tells Shirley to keep the matter to herself because the young master does not actually care for sacré all that much. That revelation leaves Shirley completely stunned, since he eats it so frequently. Claire explains that William genuinely loved snack time with the Queen, but their tastes were never the same. While the Queen preferred sacré, the young master has always favored moist cakes instead. Shirley cannot help but wonder why he never said anything when it is supposed to be his own snack time. Claire explains that William never wanted to disrespect the hard work and devotion of the palace maids. Declaring that he dislikes sacré would also feel like rejecting the precious memories of Her Highness, making it something he could never bring himself to say so casually. Claire herself also remained silent, because she understood just how much effort the maids poured into making those snacks. Claire then admits that she had assumed Shirley would simply serve whatever she personally liked, without giving the matter a second thought. However, she happily admits that she was completely mistaken. Hearing that, Shirley can only think that this old hag certainly has an interesting opinion of her, and it irritates her just enough to make her silently fume. Ignoring Shirley's growing annoyance, Claire expresses her sincere hope that she will continue creating entertaining snack times for the young master and keep finding ways to make him smile. Shirley immediately accepts the request without hesitation, and so Shirley's life as a palace maid truly begins. That life quickly proves itself to be less of a peaceful job and far more of a battlefield. This incident takes place 3 days after Shirley serves the tricolor bread. As she walks alone through one of the palace hallways, someone suddenly comes charging straight toward her with a knife. Shirley is left wondering what on earth is happening when, before the attacker can reach her, another person rushes in from behind and demands to know what he thinks he is doing. The hallway instantly erupts into chaos, as everyone begins shouting about an intruder and calls for others to come quickly. Shirley cannot help but think that the entire situation looks exactly like a scene straight out of a historical drama. The man who intervenes immediately checks whether Shirley is all right. The mere sight of him practically makes sparkles appear around him in Shirley's eyes. She quickly gets back on her feet, assures him that she is unharmed, and sincerely thanks him for helping her. The knight asks why she is wandering around the palace at such an early hour. Shirley explains that she has been preparing the young master's snack, although part of her mind is still busy wondering what that incredibly dramatic heroic pose from a moment ago was supposed to be. The knight apologizes, explaining that the intruder managed to enter because of their failure, and he is sorry for frightening her. He firmly promises that they will capture the intruder as quickly as possible. Before he leaves, Shirley politely asks him to wait for a moment and requests to know his name. He introduces himself as Lawrence, the captain of the chivalric order. Shirley respectfully introduces herself in return as a new palace maid named Shirley, and promises that she will repay this kindness someday. Lawrence remarks that she is quite an unusual person before taking his leave. That comment immediately leaves Shirley wondering whether she has accidentally said something strange again. The following morning, Anna asks Shirley whether she has truly been so calm after everything that happened. She reminds her that Sir Lawrence is the young and exceptionally talented captain of the order. Shirley casually agrees before mentioning that Lawrence warned her the intruder could still be hiding somewhere inside the palace grounds, and that the guards are currently searching the entire castle. Anna sighs dramatically and says that if she had met Sir Lawrence under such fateful circumstances, she would have clung to that memory forever and treasured it for the rest of her life. Shirley quietly wonders whether that overly dramatic reaction, and perhaps even Lawrence's heroic pose, is the result of everyone having far too many similar romantic fantasies. Just then, Jacqueline arrives in high spirits, happily declaring that catching a glimpse of Sir Lawrence first thing in the morning has already guaranteed a wonderful day. Her cheerful mood lasts only until she notices Team 5 preparing the same ingredients yet again. She immediately mocks Shirley for making the same thing over and over, calling her nothing more than a one-trick pony. Shirley casually admits that she is absolutely right. Chocolate takes an absurd amount of time to prepare after all. She then surprises Jacqueline by asking if she would be willing to help, and even offers to teach her how to make chocolate in return. Jacqueline nearly jumps out of her skin before loudly declaring that Shirley has absolutely nothing worth teaching her. She insists that Shirley can keep that disgusting black stuff all to herself and storms off in a huff. After Jacqueline leaves, Anna warns Shirley not to go around casually teaching everyone how to make chocolate. Shirley, however, points out that the two of them are reaching their limit. They simply cannot keep handling all the chocolate preparation by themselves forever. If even a few of their senior maids were willing to help, their workload would become far more manageable. Shirley brings up the idea to Anna, but Anna questions whether they honestly think anyone would even give them the time of day. Putting that concern aside, Shirley mentions that, because of the recent intruder incident, guards are apparently going to be stationed around snack time today. The following day, Lawrence stands beside William and immediately notices Shirley. He recognizes her as the girl from the previous night and asks whether she slept well. She confirms that she did, thanks to his help. Claire then announces that it is time for that day's snack service to begin. Today's selection consists of several different kinds of bread, all of them soft and moist. Ever since the frightening incident, everyone has switched over to this style of bread. Fortunately, that does not cause any inconvenience for Shirley. She presents William with freshly made chocolate croissants. As soon as he takes a bite, he remarks that they are incredibly sweet. Shirley silently thinks to herself that she would certainly expect them to be. The rich sweetness of the dark chocolate lingers pleasantly in the mouth alongside the flavor of the tender pieces of bread. As they continue eating, however, the ratio of bread gradually increases, revealing the pastry's cleverly layered structure. Watching everyone enjoy them makes Shirley secretly wish she could have one herself. At that very moment, she notices Lawrence staring in her direction. On closer inspection, however, she realizes that he is not actually looking at her at all. His eyes are completely fixed on the chocolate croissants, practically sparkling as he watches them. The sight is low-key amusing. William notices Lawrence's gaze and casually asks whether he would like one as well. Lawrence immediately declines, insisting that he would never dare interrupt William's meal, and adding that he does not even care for sweet foods. His response causes the people nearby to begin whispering among themselves. They comment that, after all, he is a knight who only enjoys meat and is far too rigid to be interested in desserts. Even so, Shirley does not buy that explanation for a second. From where she is standing, she can practically smell the lie. Seeing the situation unfold, Claire asks Shirley whether she would also like to prepare snacks for the soldiers. Shirley agrees, explaining that she wants to thank them for all of their hard work searching the castle and to encourage them with something sweet. It is true that everyone owes the soldiers their gratitude for everything they did during the incident involving her. However, there is one rather massive problem. The number of soldiers stationed throughout the castle reaches well into the triple digits. Claire wonders whether Shirley could realistically prepare enough food for everyone while also keeping up with the regular snack preparations. With so many soldiers currently gathered at the castle for various reasons, making enough pastries to feed every single one of them by herself would undoubtedly be a huge challenge. Shirley briefly considers asking Anna to help her, but she quickly realizes that doing so would delay the preparations for the royal snack time. Claire points out that Shirley really only sees whatever is directly in front of her. She then calmly declares that she will simply instruct all of the maids to help with the work instead. Shirley is taken aback and wonders whether Claire truly intends to ask even her elder sisters to lend a hand. Claire explains that every maid is in the same boat. When one of them is saved, all of them benefit. Besides, Shirley is still something of an outcast, so this is the perfect opportunity for her to build stronger bonds with her fellow maids, especially her elder sisters. Remembering every awkward interaction she has had with them so far, Shirley quietly thinks that she would already be happy if they simply accepted her as a fellow maid. The next day, to her complete surprise, her elder sisters immediately begin asking practical questions about the baking process. They ask whether the texture of the dough is correct, what size the mold should be, and several other details needed to prepare everything properly. Their willingness to cooperate completely shatters all of Shirley's earlier worries, leaving her wondering why things have suddenly turned out this way. Meanwhile, Jacqueline is absolutely ticked off. She cannot understand why she has to help Shirley in the first place, and grumbles about the entire situation. The leader of Team 2, her elder sister Clara, simply tells her to relax. She reminds Jacqueline that they are all comrades in the end, and that working together like this once in a while is not such a bad thing after all. Avril remarks that she has always been interested in the kinds of sweets Shirley creates, and she sees this as the perfect opportunity to steal a few of Shirley's techniques. Jacqueline immediately protests, insisting that there is absolutely no need to copy Shirley's methods, because the desserts made by their own team are far better than anything Shirley produces. She argues that Shirley's recipes are strange and unusual anyway. Avril, however, calmly points out that if Shirley's creations make the young master happy, then they are doing exactly what their job requires. Hearing that, Shirley quietly thinks to herself that she honestly never expected Avril to say something like that. Christina then admits to Shirley that she does not have much experience with deep frying. Although this kingdom does have snacks that use cooking oil, fried treats are still uncommon within the palace. Cooking oils have been used since ancient times, but among the nobility, baked and steamed dishes have always been the standard. Because of that, fried snacks have never really become widespread inside the royal palace. Shirley tells Christina that she will demonstrate the process first. She carefully prepares the dough, then uses a cutter to shape it into evenly sized circles for the donuts. Once everything is ready, she gently lowers each piece into the hot oil and fries them until they reach the proper color. The others eagerly ask whether they are finished already. Shirley smiles and explains that they are not ready just yet because the donuts need to cool down first. After allowing them to cool properly, she presents the finished pastries and announces that they are called donuts, inviting everyone to taste them. The maids quickly gather around and each takes a bite. Almost immediately, they all agree that the donuts are absolutely delicious. Christina comments that the result is fascinating, although she wonders whether the dough could be made even moister. Others mention that they actually prefer how light and fluffy the donuts are, instead of being thick and heavy. One maid even jokes that they taste downright sinful, while another laughs that these would definitely be the perfect treat whenever someone feels exhausted. Watching everyone enthusiastically discuss the recipe, Shirley realizes that they have already gotten the hang of it incredibly quickly. Just as they pointed out, the greatest selling point of a donut is its soft, fluffy texture. Crumbly donuts certainly have their own appeal, but in Shirley's opinion, this version is exactly what a perfect donut should be. It is pretty spot on. She explains that the most important parts of the process are allowing the dough to rest properly and paying close attention to both the frying temperature and the cooking time. As long as those details are handled correctly, the donuts will turn out beautifully. Once the lesson is over, Shirley sincerely thanks everyone for helping her and says that she is counting on all of them moving forward. Avril suddenly notices a bit of sugar stuck on Shirley's face and points it out with a smile. That small moment immediately causes everyone around them to burst into cheerful chatter, making the atmosphere noticeably warmer than before. A short while later, Christina approaches the group and apologizes for interrupting everyone's break. She thanks all of the soldiers for the hard work they have put in over the past several days and explains that the maids have prepared a small token of appreciation for them. She tells them that they rescued one of the palace maids during the recent incident and have continued tirelessly searching for the mysterious intruder ever since. Although their gift may not be much, she sincerely hopes that every one of them will enjoy it. Lawrence also expresses his gratitude, saying that the maids worked incredibly hard for their sake, so it is only right that the knights show their appreciation as well. The knights eagerly step forward and each takes a donut. After tasting them, their reactions are overwhelmingly positive. One after another, they exclaim that the donuts are unbelievably delicious. Several admit that they normally are not fans of sweet foods, yet they find these surprisingly tasty. Others cannot believe that the palace maids prepared something like this especially for them. They wonder whether it is really acceptable for them to receive such kindness, but they cannot hide how happy they are to have become soldiers at that moment. Watching the scene unfold, Shirley cannot help recalling the familiar image from her previous life of American police officers being associated with donuts. Seeing the soldiers enjoy them so much makes her smile, and she is secretly glad that things worked out in a surprisingly similar way. Even so, the person she truly wants to thank is standing right in front of her. Gathering her courage, Shirley walks over to Lawrence and sincerely thanks him for everything he did for her the other day. Shirley tells Sir Lawrence that she already knows he does not care much for sweet things, but she still asks him to please try one of the donuts she has made. Lawrence reluctantly agrees, reasoning that although knights normally have no need for sweets, it would be rude to refuse after she has gone through the effort of offering them. Unfortunately, fate has the comedic timing of a stage performer. Just as Lawrence is about to enjoy his donut, a frantic shout echoes through the area, announcing that an intruder has been spotted standing on one of the beams inside the observation tower. Lawrence immediately switches from possibly eating a donut mode to Captain of the Nights mode without wasting even a second. He orders the soldiers to surround the tower and ensure that the intruder cannot escape. Shirley can only sigh inwardly, thinking that the timing could not possibly have been any worse. If bad timing were an Olympic sport, it would have just won the gold medal. The soldiers eventually manage to apprehend the intruder successfully and bring him back into custody. It turns out that the culprit is a notorious and rather famous thief who apparently enjoys taking ridiculous risks for excitement. Shirley silently hopes that he eventually loses that thrill-seeking habit before it gets him into even more trouble. With the disturbance finally over, everything returns to normal. Shirley once again goes to see Sir Lawrence. However, as the captain responsible for the entire incident, he is occupied with interrogating the captured thief and handling countless official matters. Because of all those duties, he never gets the chance to return and eat any of the donuts she had prepared. When Shirley notices this, she points out that he never actually got to taste any of them. She then explains that these donuts are different from the earlier batch. This time, she has tried recreating the donuts from a certain famous donut chain from her previous life, and she is especially proud of how they turned out. The moment Lawrence looks at the sugar-coated donut, however, he immediately declares that he should refrain from eating it. Shirley cannot help but point out the obvious. Knights always claim that they do not willingly eat sweet things, yet there just happens to be sugar on his face. Lawrence instantly panics and hurriedly wipes his face, hoping to erase the evidence before anyone else notices. Shirley almost laughs as she tells him that he clearly loves sweets so much that he would probably lick the sugar off his own hand. If that is the case, why is he trying so hard to hide it? Lawrence finally admits the truth. His father has always been extremely strict. He constantly tells him that a proper knight should behave with unwavering discipline and dignity. Sweet foods are practically forbidden in his household. On top of that, as the captain of the Order of Knights, he believes he must maintain the image and honor expected of someone in his position. In his mind, a respected captain should not be seen happily munching on sugary treats, even if his heart is secretly screaming for another donut. Shirley kindly tells him that whenever he wants something sweet, he should simply let her know. She will gladly prepare it for him. Lawrence cannot help asking why she would go that far for his sake. Shirley explains that there are two reasons. The first is, naturally, to express her gratitude for him saving her life. The second reason is much simpler. He is a fellow sweet lover. In her opinion, people who love sweets should help each other whenever possible. She remembers that in her previous life, many men who adored desserts always tried to hide that fact, almost as though enjoying cake were some terrible crime. She has witnessed that countless times before. However, denying oneself the chance to eat something delicious simply because of appearances feels like an incredible waste. That is exactly why she wants to share her sweets with him whenever she can. Lawrence sincerely thanks her for the gesture. Afterward, the two of them quietly hide away where no one else can see them, so that the dignified captain of the Knights can finally enjoy his donut in peace. It is practically a top-secret military operation, except the classified weapon happens to be a donut covered in sugar. As Lawrence happily eats the donut, Shirley's eyes widen in surprise. Watching the usually serious and dependable knight smile so genuinely while enjoying something as simple as a sweet treat makes her understand, at least a little, why all of her sisters become so fascinated with him. Lawrence smiles warmly and remarks that she truly is an unusual person. From that day onward, Shirley secretly gives him a new nickname in her heart. To her, he is forever known as the Donut Knight. Later, Shirley walks through the corridor by herself, feeling surprisingly satisfied. She thinks that perhaps she really managed to do something good today. Of course, the donuts were not made only for Lawrence. She had also prepared plenty for herself. After all, watching someone eat them so happily had only made her crave one even more. She is excited to eat her own, which is waiting comfortably in her room. As Shirley continues walking through the corridor, William suddenly appears before her. She immediately greets the young master with respect. William informs her that he has heard she prepared snacks for the soldiers. Hearing those words makes Shirley's heart skip a beat. She suddenly remembers an important piece of palace etiquette. For a maid to prepare snacks for someone other than royalty is considered giving a lower-ranking person the same privilege reserved for members of the royal family. Only now does she realize that she should have sought William's permission beforehand. Her imagination immediately begins racing toward the worst possible conclusion. She wonders if this is the moment she gets dismissed from the palace. In her mind, she is already halfway through packing imaginary luggage. To her complete surprise, however, William is not angry at all. Instead, he is pouting. With obvious dissatisfaction, he asks where his share is. He explains that everyone has been talking about some fluffy snack with a hole in the middle of dessert, unlike anything they had ever seen before. Hearing everyone rave about it while he receives absolutely nothing strikes him as incredibly unfair. Faced with no other choice, Shirley reluctantly brings William to her room, where the donut she had secretly saved for herself is waiting. In the end, her precious emergency snack reserve becomes the young master's afternoon treat. As William examines the donut with genuine curiosity, he asks what the hole in the middle is actually for. Shirley explains that, as far as she knows, the hole helps the dough cook evenly while frying. William immediately finds that explanation amusing. If she is the one who supposedly created the snack, why does she sound so uncertain about it? Caught off guard, Shirley quickly falls back on the excuse she has relied upon countless times before. She explains that her father is a merchant and that she merely heard rumors about a snack that looked like this. Deep inside, however, she cannot help thinking that perhaps losing her carefully hidden donut stash is simply karma for repeating the same convenient lie over and over again. Apparently, even delicious desserts demand honesty. After taking a few bites, William unexpectedly tears off another donut and offers it back to Shirley. He tells her that they should eat together. Shirley gratefully accepts it, sincerely thanking him before taking a bite herself. The familiar taste immediately brings a smile to her face. She loves donuts when they are fresh out of the fryer, warm and soft, but she also enjoys them after they have cooled slightly. The crisp sugar coating complements the fluffy bread perfectly, creating a wonderfully satisfying sweetness that never fails to make her happy. To her, both versions are equally delicious. As they quietly enjoy their snacks, William suddenly grows serious. He tells her that what is happening inside this room must never leave it. If anyone discovers that the young master of the household has been sneaking into one of the maid quarters to eat snacks before dinner, it would undoubtedly become a troublesome scandal. Shirley immediately assures him that she understands completely. Naturally, she would never reveal such a thing. William lets out a mischievous little laugh before declaring that, in that case, it will remain their little secret. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the palace, Jacqueline tightly clutches the cocoa beans in her hands. With a smug smile, she convinces herself that without this precious ingredient, Shirley is nothing. About a week after the unforgettable donut incident, another problem suddenly appears to test Shirley's patience. Shirley discovers that every bit of the cocoa has mysteriously vanished. There is not a single scoop left. Anna is equally shocked because the disappearance of the cocoa means they cannot make any chocolate at all. Shirley remembers that there were supposed to be 3 large bags remaining, making the situation even more baffling. Right on cue, as if the universe enjoys dramatic entrances, Jacqueline casually appears and remarks that it is already gone because she had been planning to use more of it anyway. She notices everyone staring at her and questions why they are giving her such looks. According to her, the ingredients belong to everyone, so there should not be any problem if someone chooses to use them. For a brief moment, Shirley admits to herself that Jacqueline technically has a point. The cocoa does not belong exclusively to Team 5. However, Anna immediately accuses Jacqueline of doing this purely out of spite. Jacqueline dismisses the accusation with complete arrogance, claiming that lapdogs like them would never understand. She confidently declares that now they cannot make chocolate, everyone will finally realize that Team 5 is no match for Team 4. Having delivered her villain-worthy speech with the confidence of someone who definitely rehearsed it in front of a mirror, she walks away as dramatically as she arrived. Shirley can only stare after her in disbelief. She thinks the harassment is so perfectly executed that it feels like it has been copied straight out of a manga. In fact, she almost feels impressed by how committed Jacqueline is to being an antagonist. Shirley already knows Jacqueline dislikes her, but she never imagines the hostility has reached this level. Putting the unnecessary drama aside, Shirley asks Anna if she knows where the missing cocoa originally comes from. Anna explains that she believes it is grown by the palace's garden witch inside the royal garden. Without wasting another moment, the two of them head toward the palace garden. The moment Shirley steps inside, she is completely amazed. The garden is filled with dozens of different kinds of plants growing everywhere. It is far beyond anything she expects to see. Apparently, they can obtain cocoa from this place, but what amazes her even more is the incredible variety of plants. There are even species growing there that cannot be found anywhere in town. It feels less like an ordinary garden and more like nature won the lottery. While Shirley eagerly admires everything around her, Anna quickly warns her not to wander inside so casually. Almost immediately, a voice shouts at them, demanding to know whether nobody has informed them that this area is off-limits and that they cannot simply barge into the garden whenever they please. Shirley wonders if the person yelling at them is perhaps an assistant working under the garden witch. Anna quickly corrects her misunderstanding, explaining that the woman standing before them is actually a demi and, more importantly, the garden witch herself. The garden witch looks at Shirley with curiosity and remarks that she has never seen her before, asking whether she is new to the palace. Shirley politely introduces herself and explains that they have come both to greet her properly and to ask for a favor. However, the instant the garden witch takes a bite of the muffin they have brought, her entire attitude changes in record time. She immediately comments that they should have led with the muffin from the very beginning. Priorities clearly matter, and delicious baked goods apparently rank above formal introductions. The witch cheerfully introduces herself as one of the palace witches and says that it is a pleasure to meet them. Shirley respectfully returns the greeting, addressing her as Madam Witch before explaining the reason for their visit. The garden witch raises a hand and asks Shirley to wait for just a moment because she wants to finish eating the muffin first. She happily remarks that the jam tastes wonderful and that her strawberries have certainly been put to excellent use. She seems far more interested in enjoying every last bite than discussing urgent shortages, proving that food truly solves at least half of life's problems. After she finishes savoring the muffin and listens to the entire story, the garden witch admits that she cannot believe such a thing has happened. Anna promises that the next time they prepare the muffins, they will bring some for her again, because they are truly delicious. She even confidently claims that what they make next will be even more incredible than these. The garden witch, however, gently crushes their hopes by explaining that it is simply impossible. Cocoa is not something that can normally be obtained within the kingdom. The cocoa trees growing in the palace garden are still immature and will not be ready for harvest for several more months. The disappointing news makes Shirley desperately wonder if the witch can simply wave some magical powder around and magically solve the problem. Unfortunately, the garden witch immediately tells her to keep dreaming. Although she is indeed a witch, she does not possess bizarre, reality-bending powers capable of creating cocoa out of thin air. Magic, apparently, still has rules, much to Shirley's disappointment. Anna sighs and realizes that, in that case, they really will have to wait several months before obtaining more cocoa. Accepting reality, Shirley tells the garden witch that they will simply have to come up with a completely different snack instead. She politely asks whether they may continue walking around the garden for a little longer, and the witch happily grants them permission. The garden witch explains that the palace garden is where rare and unusual plants are usually brought for cultivation. Hearing this, Shirley quietly looks around while searching for something in particular. After scanning the area for a while, she concludes that it probably is not here after all. Anna notices the slight disappointment on Shirley's face and asks what is wrong. Shirley casually replies that it is nothing. However, only a moment later, something suddenly catches her eye. Without warning, she dashes across the garden, excitedly shouting that she has found it. Standing before her is a patch of tomatoes. For Shirley, this discovery feels almost miraculous. Tomatoes had been an ordinary ingredient in her previous life. Yet ever since arriving in this world, she has not seen a single one. She has slowly begun to believe that tomatoes simply did not exist here. Finding them now feels like stumbling upon buried treasure, except the treasure is red, round, and destined to become ketchup. The garden witch watches her with surprise and remarks that she cannot believe Shirley touched the plants with her bare hands. Everyone assumes the strange-looking fruits are poisonous, so people usually avoid going anywhere near them. As the witch speaks, Shirley remembers learning that, even in Europe during her previous life, tomatoes had once been feared because people believed they were poisonous. It had taken quite some time before they were finally accepted as food. To avoid revealing too much, Shirley simply explains that her father is a merchant, which is how she knows tomatoes are perfectly harmless. With newfound excitement, she happily announces that she now knows exactly what she is going to prepare. Anna immediately stops her and asks if she seriously intends to use those strange vegetables in a recipe. Shirley confidently confirms that this is exactly her plan. The garden witch, however, warns her that the idea is unlikely to succeed because the prince absolutely hates vegetables. Shirley asks if that is really true. Anna silently nods in confirmation. Hearing this, Shirley cannot help but feel sorry for the person who spent so much effort growing such beautiful vegetables, only for them to be rejected without even being given a chance. Even so, she firmly believes that nobody should ever be forced to eat something they genuinely dislike. Meals are supposed to be enjoyable, and adding unnecessary suffering completely defeats the purpose. At the same time, she also believes that one of the greatest talents a cook can possess is the ability to transform an ingredient someone hates into something they genuinely love. To Shirley, that is the true secret power of cooking. The garden witch smiles and jokingly remarks that Shirley sounds even more like a witch than she does. Sometime later, Shirley returns to the castle. By now, both the chocolate treats and the donuts have become enormous successes throughout the palace. People everywhere excitedly whisper among themselves, saying that Shirley has practically become someone important, a miniature celebrity within the castle. Now, Team 5 receives praise from every direction. Many people comment that Team 5 operates on an entirely different level compared to Team 4. Hearing all the compliments, Shirley can only throw her hands into the air with an awkward smile. She cannot help but wonder whether Jacqueline would throw an absolutely legendary tantrum if someone suggested swapping places with Team 5. The mental image alone is almost entertaining. Meanwhile, Jacqueline overhears everyone enthusiastically praising Shirley. They cannot stop talking about how incredible she is or how unbelievable it is that she managed to turn those strange vegetables into such a delicious sauce. Listening to all the admiration, Jacqueline can only wonder what in the world Shirley has done this time. The scene then shifts to Claire, who announces that it is time to begin that day's snack presentation. Shirley silently hopes they can serve the food as quickly as possible before it becomes cold. A hot dish waits for no one, and neither does melted enthusiasm. Soon, Team 5 is called forward and asked to present their creation. With confidence, Shirley announces that Team 5 is serving hot dogs. Claire looks at the dish with visible curiosity before asking whether Shirley is absolutely certain that this can really be considered a snack. William assures Shirley that he is fine with it, but he wonders what the red sauce is. Shirley explains that it is called ketchup, a remarkably versatile condiment. She describes how it is prepared by first boiling the tomatoes and then peeling off their skins. After that, the tomatoes are chopped together with garlic and onion before being mashed into a liquid-like mixture. The mixture is then heated in a pot, after which sugar, salt, pepper, bay leaves, and apple vinegar, which she makes herself, are added. Once it begins to boil, the heat is lowered so it can simmer until much of the liquid evaporates. With the explanation complete, Shirley eagerly begins promoting everyone's soon-to-be favorite condiment. She proudly declares ketchup to be the true star of the meal. Since ketchup does not yet exist in this world, she believes it is her responsibility to introduce it to everyone. Her first goal is to win over the young master and convince him of its delicious taste. However, just as William is about to try it, Jacqueline abruptly stops him. She points out that the sauce is made from tomatoes. William immediately asks what tomatoes are, while the surrounding maids begin whispering among themselves, recalling the widespread belief that tomatoes are poisonous. Jacqueline dramatically claims that Shirley has deceived the young master by trying to feed him vegetables, despite knowing how much he hates them. She further accuses her of using an ingredient that is rumored to contain poison and demands an explanation for such reckless behavior. Shirley realizes that Jacqueline has been carefully observing everything and has managed to corner her perfectly. She understands that, at this rate, everyone may suspect her of attempting to poison the young master. Without wasting a moment, she firmly denies the accusation, insisting that tomatoes are not poisonous at all and that the belief is nothing more than an old superstition. She explains that the tomatoes were carefully grown by the witch with great effort and are actually filled with valuable nutrients. Unfortunately, the moment Shirley mentions that tomatoes are vegetables, William immediately questions what a vegetable is. She instantly realizes that the situation has only become worse and desperately searches for a way to convince everyone. At the same time, Clara orders her to remove the food immediately. Thinking quickly, Shirley proposes that she will personally test the food for poison. Without hesitation, she takes a large bite herself. Rather than looking elegant, she ends up looking rather ridiculous as she enthusiastically stuffs the food into her mouth. Nevertheless, she thoroughly enjoys every bite. The premium pork sausage has a slight crunch from its casing before giving way to its juicy and flavorful meat. Combined with the sweet ketchup and the fragrant bread, every ingredient blends together perfectly. The aroma of the wheat bread complements the savory sausage and sweet sauce so well that Shirley cannot help but think she is experiencing pure happiness. Delighted by the taste, she happily declares that it is so delicious that she wants another serving. Before she can take another bite, William stops her, saying that she no longer needs to prove whether the food is poisonous. He confidently takes a bite himself. The moment he tastes it, he immediately declares that it is delicious and asks in surprise whether it is really made from vegetables. Shirley happily confirms that it is indeed made from vegetables. William then admits that, in that case, he truly likes ketchup. With his approval, Shirley realizes that she has successfully overcome the crisis. Later, Anna confronts Jacqueline, demanding to know what she was thinking. Jacqueline coldly remarks that Anna certainly has quite the mouth for someone beneath her. Anna replies that such a remark does not matter because Jacqueline has gone far beyond what is acceptable and insists that enough is enough. Shirley quickly tries to calm Anna by saying that everything worked out in the end. However, Anna refuses to let the matter go, arguing that she has been far too lenient and that she cannot forgive behavior like Jacqueline's. Hearing Anna defend her so fiercely makes Shirley realize that she truly needs someone with authority to step in. At that moment, Christina calls out to Jacqueline. Even then, Jacqueline responds only by giving Christina a cold and hostile side glance. She loudly questions how everyone can continue accepting Shirley's presence. She complains that the palace maids have worked tirelessly while maintaining their honor and dignity, yet this strange newcomer freely introduces unusual ingredients and behaves however she pleases. She cannot understand why everyone simply tolerates it, despite all of Shirley's unconventional actions. Someone attempts to stop Jacqueline from continuing, but she refuses to back down. She turns toward Clara and sarcastically remarks that if he is willing to accept Shirley so easily, then it is only to be expected from someone who shamelessly helped make those donuts. Clara immediately demands to know what she has just said. Shirley steps forward and gently tells Jacqueline that if she truly dislikes her so much, they should calmly settle the matter by talking one-on-one. Jacqueline immediately cuts her off, shouting for her to be quiet. She declares that Shirley is the one person she trusts the least. She then orders Shirley to leave immediately, telling her to get out of the palace and never return. Jacqueline insists that everything she has said is completely justified. She points out that the young master now eats Shirley's strange new dishes every single day, which means he has stopped eating the meals prepared by the other kitchen staff. In Jacqueline's eyes, Shirley has completely changed the very essence of what the palace kitchen once represented. Shirley realizes that, under those circumstances, it is hardly surprising that some people have come to hate her. Afterward, Anna quietly asks Shirley whether she is all right. Shirley reflects on everything that has happened and concludes that Jacqueline is right about one thing. There is no point in continuing to dwell on the negativity. Now that she finally has ketchup, there is something she absolutely has to create. With renewed determination, she thanks Anna for her concern, assures her that she is fine, and excitedly reveals that she has come up with a brand new idea. She then asks Anna if she would be willing to help her. Anna immediately smiles warmly and happily agrees to lend her assistance. Anna watches as Shirley prepares today's recipe and comments that it looks like some kind of cheese bread. Bread is the kingdom's everyday staple, but Anna admits she has never been particularly skilled at baking it. The reason is simple. She has always preferred rice. Unfortunately, despite all her searching, she still hasn't found any in this world. Deep down, she quietly wishes that if rice exists somewhere, it would just appear already. Suddenly, Anne waves a hand in front of her face, pulling her back to reality and reminding her to pay attention, since Shirley is supposed to be teaching her today's recipe. Shirley announces that they will be making a dish loved by almost everyone: pizza. She tells Anna to watch carefully before beginning to stretch the dough. After shaping it, she gently folds the edges inward, then starts layering the toppings. The sausages, coated in a specially prepared ketchup-based sauce, are spread across the surface before everything is covered with cheese. Once that's finished, all that's left is baking it. Shirley explains that baking is the most important and hardest part of making pizza. They have to understand which spots inside the oven produce more heat and how strong the fire is at any given moment. As she concentrates, she tries to remember how the pizza chefs on television used to handle it. Without thinking, she quietly repeats the famous story of Bob the pizza maker. Bob spent 30 years making pizza every single day. Then, one day, a shark attacked him, and he never returned home. When the pizza finally comes out of the oven, Shirley proudly announces that Anna has definitely never heard that story before. Anna stares at her like she's lost her mind, and points out that Shirley has already told everyone that exact tale. The two of them each grab a slice. Shirley eagerly takes a bite, while Anna's expression immediately melts into complete happiness. The stretchy melted cheese, combined with the hot meat and rich pizza sauce, creates a perfect balance of flavors. Anna practically trembles with delight before declaring that it's unbelievably delicious. Shirley isn't surprised at all. In her experience, that's exactly how most people react when they taste pizza for the very first time. Still, after taking another smaller bite herself, she can't help feeling something isn't quite right. It's definitely pizza, and it certainly tastes good, but it still falls short of what she was aiming for. Maybe the oven baked it unevenly. Perhaps there was too much cheese and too many toppings compared to the thickness of the dough. On top of that, the overall flavor feels incomplete. Since they left out all the vegetables for the young master's sake, it lacks the freshness that vegetables normally add, both through the sauce and the toppings. After finishing her third slice, Anna finally notices Shirley quietly staring into space and asks if something is wrong. She wonders if Shirley actually thinks the pizza failed. Shirley immediately answers yes, insisting that she could never serve something like this to the young master. Anna softly replies that she honestly thinks it's already delicious. Inside Shirley's imagination, Bob lets out a disappointed sigh. He questions whether this can truly be called pizza at all. According to him, even his half-senile neighbor would have thrown it straight out the window in disgust. Shirley hurriedly stuffs another bite into her mouth while silently apologizing to Bob, admitting that she'll have to make it much better next time. Not long afterward, the other maids discover both Shirley and Anna slumped over in the kitchen, completely drained and surrounded by an atmosphere of defeat. Christiana steps forward and politely asks if she can taste it. Shirley happily agrees, and before long the other maids join in as well. The moment Christiana takes her first bite, she smiles and says it's really delicious before asking whether it's meant to be served as a snack. Shirley enthusiastically confirms that it is, though she honestly admits she still feels like the recipe is missing one final touch. Christiana tears off a small piece of the crust, tastes it carefully, and nods before saying that her suspicion was correct. The dough itself still needs improvement because, compared to the toppings, it falls short. Clara takes a bite as well and comments that it has become a little tough now that it has cooled. Christiana agrees, saying it would be much better while it is still piping hot. She then turns toward Shirley and offers to teach her the proper way to bake bread. Shirley's eyes widen in surprise as she asks if Christiana truly means it. The others laugh warmly at her reaction before Clara joins the conversation, saying she can also teach her the secret to controlling the oven's temperature. She adds that she knows of a type of cheese that melts much more smoothly and quickly. Meanwhile, a few of the other girls quietly remain off to the side, almost like outsiders watching from a distance. Jacqueline stands silently among them, her thoughts drifting back to everything that had happened before. As the girls continue sharing advice and explaining different techniques, Shirley hesitates before asking if they are really comfortable teaching her all of their knowledge. Christiana smiles gently and replies that they should actually be the ones thanking her. Clara gives a playful wink and points out that Shirley is the one who brought everyone together in the first place. The young master returns their smiles. A hint of sadness crosses Christiana's face as she admits it was painful watching the young master force himself to eat sacre with such an unhappy expression. Ever since then, they had been terrified that they would lose their positions as the palace's snack maids. Shirley has already heard about their situation before. Most of the snack maids come from noble families or wealthy merchant households. However, only daughters up to around the third child usually have a chance of marrying into influential families. The younger daughters who come afterward often aren't considered nearly as valuable. Christiana explains that the reason they all came to the royal palace was to earn recognition, build prestige, and leave behind accomplishments of their own. Jacqueline is no different. Despite being one of the youngest, she became the leader of Team 4 because of her remarkable abilities. Since childhood, everyone expected her to become an exceptional snack maid, so she spent years learning the art of cooking from an early age. Christiana quietly admits that the expectations placed upon Jacqueline must be incredibly heavy. Along with that comes a great deal of pride, which sometimes causes her to struggle. Even so, she insists Jacqueline is not a bad person. A chill runs through Shirley as she admits Jacqueline is truly a worthy rival. She has tasted one of Jacqueline's sacres before, and it was unbelievably delicious because of the dedication and effort poured into making it. If Shirley doesn't continue improving herself, Jacqueline will eventually surpass her. A little while later, Shirley pulls another pizza from the oven and proudly announces that it's finished. She explains that the previous one had cooled down before everyone could enjoy it, but pizza tastes its absolute best the moment it comes out of the oven. Hidden quietly in the corner, Jacqueline whispers to herself, if Shirley truly considers her a rival, then she'll have to prove exactly what she's capable of. Before long, the long-awaited day finally arrives. The day Shirley will serve pizza to the young master. After countless attempts, she has completely mastered the recipe. Now the only thing left is to deliver it while it's still fresh, before it cools and the crust hardens. When snack time arrives, Shirley is left completely stunned after Madame Claire suddenly announces that Jacqueline has requested Team 5 to serve first. Madame Claire then calmly asks whether everyone is all right with that arrangement. Her words snap Shirley back to reality. Still flustered by the unexpected announcement, she quickly gathers her dish and rushes forward, hurriedly replying that it is perfectly fine. Shirley carefully placed the freshly baked pizza in front of the young master. The sight alone left him staring in amazement, his mouth almost hanging open. Even Madame Claire couldn't help remarking that it hardly resembled what anyone would normally call a snack. Looking at the dish with curiosity, the young master asked how he was supposed to eat it. Shirley smiled and told him there was no special method. He could simply use his hands and start with any piece he liked. As he lifted a slice, long strands of melted cheese stretched after it, making him pause in surprise. He took his first bite, and the rich flavors instantly spread across his tongue. Before he realized it, he blurted out, "It's delicious." The words immediately lit up Shirley's face with a bright smile, and the other girls quickly found themselves smiling as well. Without hesitation, the young master reached for another slice, happily repeating that it was delicious. As he continued eating, he recognized both the bread and the cheese, but one ingredient left him puzzled. Curious, he asked about the sauce. Shirley explained that it was a special sauce made using ketchup as its base. A moment later, he noticed a slight crunch and wondered what ingredient had created that texture. Embarrassed, Shirley turned her face away before admitting that she had finely chopped onions, sautéed them carefully, and mixed them into the sauce. She had done everything she could to reduce both their strong smell and sharp taste, but the sauce simply lacked enough flavor without them, so she had no choice but to include them. The young master kept eating until not a single bite remained. Staring at the completely empty plate, he looked up in disbelief and said that it was all gone, almost as though everyone else couldn't already see that he had finished every last crumb. Recovering quickly, Shirley cheerfully told him that if he had enjoyed it, several other varieties had been prepared as well. Soon, another pizza was brought out. One half was covered with slices of roast beef, while the other was topped with shrimp and coated in a pale-colored dressing. Tilting his head, the young master pointed toward the white topping and asked what it was. "Mayonnaise," Shirley answered immediately. It wasn't long before the second pizza disappeared as well. Letting out a satisfied sigh, the young master remarked that eating it had felt almost like a dream. Then he asked if there was any more, because he felt he could still keep eating. Hearing that, Shirley could only stare at him in complete shock, her mouth hanging open. The truth was that preparing so many different varieties had taken an enormous amount of time, so they simply hadn't been able to make as many pizzas as they normally would. Thanks to Jacqueline's suggestion, however, things had probably turned out in the best way possible. With an apologetic smile, Shirley admitted that those 2 pizzas were all they had prepared. She quickly gestured toward the remaining dishes and enthusiastically explained that something sweet tasted even better after enjoying such a filling pizza. She assured him that their finest desserts were waiting for him. The prince considered her words for a moment before nodding in agreement. He said she was probably right and decided to try the sweets next. Nearby, Jacqueline stood stiffly with her jaw tightly clenched. Earlier, she had specifically asked Christiana to let Team 5's snack be served first, because she remembered Shirley saying that pizza tasted best while it was fresh from the oven. Now, however, irritation welled up inside her after Christiana revealed that the idea had come from her. She instinctively flinched when Shirley called out to her, saying she had heard everything and that today's snack had turned out so well because of Jacqueline's consideration. Jacqueline recoiled as though she were a frightened, cornered kitten nursing an injury. Shirley gently asked why she had done it. Speaking quietly, Jacqueline replied that if everyone agreed, she intended to make the same request of the other teams as well. Anna frowned in confusion and asked why she had suddenly decided to cooperate with everyone. Jacqueline remembered the time Shirley had called her a formidable rival. After remaining silent for a brief moment, she softly apologized for making them participate in that ridiculous stunt before. She admitted she had spent time reflecting on everything that happened, and realized she wanted to take making snacks much more seriously. Giving every bit of effort she had into preparing them was what she truly believed she should be doing. That was exactly why she wanted the young master to eat Team 5's food while it was still hot, even if it meant their own dishes would be served last. When Shirley called her name once more, Jacqueline slowly looked up. Shirley met her with warm, emotional eyes. Unable to handle the moment, Jacqueline's expression broke apart as she hurriedly insisted that Shirley shouldn't misunderstand. She hadn't done any of it for her. And with that, the pizza competition, which had all begun with the uproar surrounding ketchup, came to its conclusion, marking a small but meaningful step forward in the growth of both Jacqueline and Shirley. Back in the kitchen, Shirley happily munches on a piece of steamed cheese bread when Anna suddenly catches her and asks what she thinks she is doing. Anna reminds her that an important visitor is about to arrive, and everyone has been ordered to gather outside to welcome the guest. They rush over just in time as a knight formally announces the arrival of Lady Ashley of the Blue Rose House. Her butler gracefully steps forward and assists her as she descends from the carriage. Watching the scene unfold, Shirley can't hide her surprise. Leaning toward Anna, the two quietly whisper to each other about how elegant and dignified the young lady appears. Anna explains that Ashley belongs to one of the highest-ranking noble families in the kingdom and is considered the leading candidate to become the young master's future fiancé. Startled, Shirley asks if people are already discussing marriage, pointing out that they're both still so young. Anna calmly explains that this is simply how life works among the upper nobility. For the sake of the country's future, influential families arrange engagements between their children from an early age. Hearing that, Shirley is amazed that the young master already has potential brides lined up. Still, she quickly reminds herself that it would be best not to get involved. After all, everyone is always telling her that she has a habit of doing things that make her stand out. A short while later, Madame Claire tells Shirley to accompany her and help serve tea to the guests. Judging from Shirley's expression, she clearly isn't thrilled about the assignment. As she pours the tea, Shirley overhears Lady Ashley happily telling the young master that she has eagerly awaited the day they would meet again. The young master averts his gaze before quietly replying that, yes, he had been looking forward to seeing her as well, though he never actually looks her in the eyes. Ashley smiles even more brightly and remarks that they must have been thinking exactly the same thing. She confidently says that despite the distance separating them, fate has surely continued to bring them together. She then asks whether he agrees. The young master simply answers, yes. However, the moment he notices Shirley serving the tea, his expression softens into a genuine smile. Shirley politely explains that today she is properly fulfilling her duties as a maid by serving tea. Naturally, Lady Ashley notices the exchange, and a slight frown immediately forms on her face. The young master then looks toward the plate of sweets and asks what the black pieces are. Shirley explains that they are hardened chocolate. Although she has often prepared chocolate cream for his snacks before, this is the first time she has been able to serve him solid chocolate. Thanks to Agatha's assistance, they managed to harvest a modest amount of cocoa, something she is sincerely grateful for. The young master carefully picks up a piece of chocolate and examines it. Shirley quickly warns him that if he holds it too long, the warmth of his fingers will melt it. Hearing that, he immediately places it into his mouth. Almost instantly, his face lights up with delight, as he happily declares that, just as he expected, it is absolutely delicious. Their pleasant moment is suddenly interrupted by a strange, low rumbling sound. Shirley turns toward the source and nearly freezes in place. Ashley is glaring directly at her with an unwavering stare so intense that it almost seems unnatural. Inside her mind, Ashley fumes. How dare a mere maid steal the spotlight from her, the true center of attention? This situation is utterly unacceptable. Her attendant lets out a weary sigh, clearly accustomed to these outbursts, before politely suggesting that, since the weather is so lovely, perhaps they should take a stroll through the garden. In an instant, Ashley's pleasant smile returns. Agreeing that it is a wonderful suggestion, she politely asks whether the young master would be kind enough to escort her around the gardens. Meanwhile, Shirley remains standing there, wondering if that bizarre rumbling noise had really come from a woman's mouth. More importantly, she thinks this arrangement is perfect. With the troublesome maid out of the picture, the two nobles will have the opportunity to grow closer. Better yet, she will finally be free to return to eating her beloved steamed cheese bread. What an incredibly capable attendant. Unfortunately, her happiness lasts only a moment. The young master agrees that taking a short walk sounds pleasant. Then, to Shirley's complete disbelief, he turns toward Madame Claire and politely asks if he may borrow Shirley. It feels as though Shirley's entire world suddenly flips upside down. Ashley stares at him in stunned silence, looking as though she has been pierced by countless invisible blades. Completely shocked, Shirley wonders why he would ask for her. There is absolutely no reason she should accompany them. She silently waits for Madame Claire to refuse the request. Instead, Madame Claire simply smiles politely and replies that Shirley is entirely at the young master's service. And just like that, Shirley can only watch in disbelief as that old hag abandons her without the slightest hesitation. Ashley comments that the garden is just as beautiful as she remembered. Beside her, Lady Ashley's attendant, Mia, politely introduces herself to Shirley, saying it is a pleasure to finally meet her. Shirley returns the greeting, introducing herself as a palace maid and saying that she is pleased to meet Mia as well. As Mia observes Shirley, she is reminded of a musical theater troupe from her previous life. Perhaps it is because Shirley also serves as a bodyguard, but there is something incredibly graceful and agile about her. Mia then mentions that Shirley seems to have earned His Highness's trust. Since she appears to have been working in the palace for quite some time, Mia asks which noble house she serves. Shirley shyly explains that she is not affiliated with any noble family. She is simply a commoner who arrived at the palace earlier that spring. Hearing this, Mia is surprised. In only a few short months, Shirley has managed to stand out enough to gain the young prince's favor, which she finds genuinely impressive. Embarrassed, Shirley quickly denies it. She explains that it is nothing special, and that the young master merely developed a fondness for the homemade snacks she prepares. Meanwhile, Ashley excitedly points toward a cluster of flowers and asks the young master to look at them. He glances over and replies that he now understands why he has been looking forward to snack time lately. He remarks that Shirley has quite an imagination, using ingredients he has never encountered before to create treats that always make him hungry. Shirley nervously asks him not to say things like that. Curious, she asks Ashley what she thinks of the flowers. Ashley happily answers that they are incredibly beautiful and that their fragrance is just as delightful. The young master agrees, saying that the flowers are indeed lovely and smell wonderful. After a brief pause, he suddenly says that the best way to appreciate a garden like this is by running through it. Ashley looks at him in confusion, wondering what he means. Before she can react, he grabs Shirley by the hand and takes off running with her. Shirley is completely caught off guard and cannot understand why he suddenly did that. Sometime later, while they are away from the others, Shirley asks if it is really appropriate for him to behave like this. The young master replies that he knows he is supposed to spend time getting along with Ashley, but he finds every conversation with her painfully dull. According to him, she always says the same things, that the flowers are beautiful, that her father gave her beautiful jewels, or that fate has brought them together. He admits he simply cannot keep pretending to enjoy those conversations because they bore him to no end. Shirley finally understands why he dragged her away. Considering his age, she realizes that endless polite small talk from a young noble lady would naturally seem uninteresting. She then asks whether that means he dislikes Ashley. He answers that he would not say he dislikes her. From the standpoint of status and family background, Ashley is a perfectly suitable candidate to become the future queen consort. Even as he says those words, however, Shirley can tell that he truly does not seem to care one way or the other. Back where Ashley is waiting, she becomes increasingly irritated. She angrily wonders why that maid is receiving all of the young master's attention when today was supposed to be about her. Frustrated, she turns to Mia and scolds her for being completely useless. Mia immediately apologizes. Ashley begins wondering how Shirley managed to win the young master's favor in the first place. Mia explains that His Highness appears to be completely captivated by the snacks Shirley makes. Ashley suddenly realizes the answer. Since the castle maids are responsible for preparing snacks and the young master has a great love for sweets, that must be how Shirley became so close to him. Mia suggests that they prepare their own desserts and spend time with the young master during snack time. Ashley quickly comes up with another idea instead. She declares that they will defeat Shirley by proving that their snacks are superior. She gathers all of the maids and announces that every one of them will participate during snack time. They will challenge Shirley in a snack-making competition. The maids stare at her in disbelief, thinking she is talking about starting a fight during snack time. Ashley immediately corrects them, shouting that she means a battle of snacks, not fists. She proudly points out that Mia serves her prestigious household, so the treats they prepare will naturally be first class. They will let the young master decide whether Mia's elegant snacks or Shirley's so-called commoner's treats are better. Ashley then boldly declares that if Shirley loses the contest, she will be dismissed from her position. Shirley is left completely stunned, wondering what kind of rule that is supposed to be. She has only recently adjusted to life inside the royal palace, and she has even begun creating and experimenting with recipes of her own. One of the palace maids apologetically tells Ashley that she does not believe she has the authority to make such a decision. Ashley immediately snaps at her, ordering her to stay quiet. Turning to Shirley, Ashley announces that only Mia and Shirley will be serving snacks during today's tea time. She declares that once Shirley loses the competition, she will be expelled from the palace. According to Ashley, the matter has already been decided, so she refuses to listen to any objections. Ashley then calls Mia forward, telling her to show everyone what she is capable of. The other maids can hardly believe what they are hearing, realizing they will not be allowed to serve snacks today. Mia politely steps forward and says that she will be borrowing the palace kitchen for a little while. Even though she clearly does not want things to happen this way, she quietly sighs and silently apologizes to Shirley before leaving. The remaining maids immediately gather around Shirley, asking what could have possibly happened to make Ashley despise her so much. They anxiously wonder if Shirley is really going to lose her position at the palace. Shirley gently tells everyone not to panic. Even though she knows the situation looks extremely unfavorable, she tries to remain calm. The biggest problem is that everything happened so suddenly that she has no idea what kind of dessert she should prepare. To make matters even worse, she knows Mia is an incredibly formidable opponent. The moment Mia entered the kitchen, she adapted to the surroundings without hesitation. Her cooking techniques are also exceptional. Shirley begins worrying about what she should do. She cannot simply prepare something she has already served before, because she is convinced Mia will present the young master with a completely original dessert. With so little time left, she struggles to think of a solution. The other maids feel sorry for her and wish there was some way they could help. They begin wondering what they should do, but one maid points out that since Shirley is the only one allowed to serve a dish, there seems to be nothing they can contribute. Then another maid suddenly comes up with an idea. She reminds everyone that Ashley only said Shirley had to be the one presenting the snack. She never said that the rest of them were forbidden from helping prepare it. Everyone immediately realizes she is absolutely right. Since they will not be serving anything themselves today, they have plenty of free time. Besides, they are all affected by Ashley's decision, so they are in this together. Without hesitation, the maids decide to combine their efforts and help Shirley. They declare that if they all work together, they can defeat Ashley and Mia. With the older maids lending their experience, they feel almost unstoppable. Now they only need to come up with a dessert that will leave a lasting impression on that young lady. As Shirley searches for an idea, one particular snack comes to mind. She pauses, wondering whether it is truly the right choice for this situation. Finally, she addresses everyone and announces that she wants to create a dessert capable of transporting both the young master and Ashley into a world filled with wonder and amazement. She admits that the recipe is extremely difficult to make and impossible to complete by herself. Because of that, she sincerely asks everyone to lend her their strength. Sometime later, snack time finally arrives. Ashley proudly tells the young master that her attendant has personally prepared a special dessert just for him today. She encourages him to compare it with the treats he usually receives. She also asks the lady present if she agrees with the arrangement. The lady replies that she does, explaining she has already been informed about the competition. Ashley then signals for Mia to present her creation. Mia respectfully places the dessert before them and introduces it as quiche. She explains that it is a pastry made by baking dough inside a mold before filling it with fruit, along with a rich cream prepared from eggs and sugar. She adds that it is a dessert, especially beloved among the nobility. The young master immediately comments that he has always enjoyed this type of pastry. After taking a bite, he remarks that it tastes absolutely delicious. Watching from the side, Shirley swallows nervously. Although the dessert appears simple, she knows that pastries like these rely heavily on the baker's skill. The quality of both the dough and the cream determines the final taste, which means Mia has undoubtedly prepared a pastry of the highest standard. Seeing his reaction, Ashley confidently remarks that it seems he truly enjoyed the dessert. The young master agrees, saying he would happily have another serving. However, he decides to wait because there is still one more snack left for him to taste. The maids quietly wonder whether anyone could actually surpass that. They all know Mia is an excellent cook, But this time, Shirley had the support of the other maids as well. She reminds herself to stay confident, lift her head, and present the dish proudly. She politely thanks the young master for waiting and announces that today's snack is called Princess Pancakes. Both Ashley and the young master look surprised by the name. As soon as they take their first bite, they are left speechless. Ashley immediately admits that it tastes incredibly good. The young master also praises the pancakes, saying they are wonderfully soft and fluffy. Looking over the plate, he comments that every item served with it looks interesting. Curious, he points at another item and asks Shirley what it is. She explains that it is ice cream, adding that he can either enjoy it by itself or eat it together with the pancakes. The young master takes a bite and is instantly surprised by how cold and sweet it is. It is vanilla ice cream, prepared from simple ingredients such as sugar, milk, and eggs. The unusual part, however, is the palace freezer. Whenever Shirley found spare time, she experimented with making different kinds of cream. During those experiments, she secretly developed the habit of enjoying a bowl of ice cream before going to bed. Even then, she imagined how wonderful it would be if the young master could taste it someday. Now, for the first time, she finally has the chance to serve it alongside one of her dishes. The young master says the dessert is unlike anything he has ever experienced. It feels like ice, yet completely different. It is sweet, melts smoothly in his mouth, and leaves behind a refreshing taste. He compliments Shirley, telling her that she has truly exceeded all expectations. Shirley respectfully thanks him, but explains that the success of the dish is not the result of her efforts alone. It was only possible because every maid worked together to prepare it. She sincerely believes that such a luxurious dessert could never have been completed without everyone's cooperation, and she is deeply grateful for their support. She turns to the other maids and thanks them all for their hard work. Watching everything unfold, Ashley's anger reaches its limit. She lashes out at Mia, accusing her of making her look foolish by serving such an unimaginative snack. Mia immediately drops to her knees and apologizes. Still furious, Ashley grabs Mia's dessert and throws it away in a fit of rage, calling it nothing more than trash. Just before it hits the ground, Shirley quickly reaches out and catches the dessert in time. The other maids become concerned for Shirley. She notices that the dessert has been crushed during the commotion. Even so, she thinks to herself that this was the very first snack Mia had prepared in such an unfamiliar setting. Since it was made with both her and the young master's enjoyment in mind, she believes it would be far too wasteful to simply let it end up on the floor. Shirley takes a bite of the damaged dessert herself and discovers that it still tastes wonderful. Seeing this only makes Ashley even more furious. At that moment, the young master calls Shirley over and asks what inspired her to prepare today's snack. Shirley replies that her only goal was for both Ashley and the young master to enjoy themselves. Winning the challenge was never her priority. Instead, she simply wanted everyone to have fun and share an enjoyable experience together. That was the reason she chose to make Princess Pancakes. She wanted the meal to feel like stepping into a magical world full of surprises. No matter which item they tasted, she hoped it would naturally spark conversation and create happy memories. Ashley quietly asked Shirley if she really did all of that for her, despite the unreasonable requests she had made. The young master then turns to Ashley and asks which item on the plate she liked the most. Ashley answers that her favorite was the cold white dessert, and she also thought the tiara decoration was beautiful. The young master smiles and says he felt exactly the same. The candy decoration was not only attractive but delicious as well. He then asks Ashley whether she had tried eating it together with the chocolate. She admits that she has not. The young master encourages her to give it a try. Ashley thanks him sincerely, and tears begin to well up in her eyes. Sometime later, Ashley approaches Shirley to apologize. She explains that she became upset because the young master had been paying little attention to her, and in her frustration, she ended up taking her anger out on Shirley instead. Although many things happened that day, Shirley is simply relieved that Ashley is finally in a better mood. The dispute over the cooking challenge has also come to an end. Ashley then tells Shirley that the pancakes were truly delicious and asks whether she would be willing to make them for her again someday. Without hesitation, Shirley happily agrees. Mia also compliments Shirley, saying she was every bit as impressive as she had expected. She adds that even while facing a challenge, Shirley remained thoughtful and considerate toward everyone involved. Shirley modestly replies that Mia is being far too kind. Smiling warmly, Mia tells Shirley that she is truly a wonderful person. She then gives Shirley a gentle kiss on the cheek, saying that she hopes they can get to know each other much better. After saying that, Mia leaves. Shirley remains standing there with a bright blush across her face. She feels relieved that the entire incident ended peacefully, although she cannot help thinking that Ashley and her attendants certainly know how to create trouble. Inside the servants' bath area, the maids are completely unsure about what they should do next. One of them asks if Shirley is still worrying about that issue. She points out that if the young master has given an order, then they simply have to obey it. Shirley replies that things are not nearly that simple. She reminds them that after what happened last time, the young master specifically told her that he wanted to enjoy as much ice cream as he could. He even requested that the next snack she prepared should be nothing but ice cream. Because of that, Shirley has been thinking non-stop. She explains that if she actually serves him unlimited ice cream, he will definitely eat far too much. Once that happens, his stomach will almost certainly suffer, and she knows her own head will be on the line. Even more importantly, she refuses to let the young master go through that kind of pain. One of the maids suggests that Shirley should simply explain everything to him before serving it. Shirley immediately shakes her head. She says that under normal circumstances he is very intelligent, so he would probably understand. However, whenever ice cream is involved, all reason disappears. The other maids find that hard to believe. They ask if it can really be that irresistible. They remind Shirley that she has already made countless delicious desserts for him, so why is ice cream the only one capable of making him forget all logic? Shirley smiles and says she expected them to react that way, so she prepared some for everyone to taste. She hands each of them a serving. The maids carefully take a bite. They instantly notice that it is much better than it looks. The rich flavor and icy texture surprise them. They admit they have tasted ice cream before, but this version is completely different. The cold sweetness melts smoothly inside their mouths, while the edges slowly begin melting. Every single part of it tastes amazing. Shirley asks if they understand now. She jokes that at this very moment they are probably already wondering when they will be able to eat it again. She then explains that this is exactly why ice cream is so frightening. Once someone experiences this taste, there is simply no going back. The maids finally realize what she meant. Shirley tells them that she warned them from the beginning. Then she casually mentions that besides the original flavor, she has also created chocolate, strawberry, and several other varieties. The maids immediately tell her to stop talking because they do not even want to imagine all those flavors anymore. They admit that they completely understand why Shirley is so worried. Since ice cream is extremely cold and mostly made from water, if the young master eats it at the incredible speed he usually does, there is no doubt he will end up with a terrible stomachache. They ask Shirley if she has already thought of a solution. She answers that she actually has an idea, but making it work requires a special mold, along with a particular type of pan. The maids look confused and ask what kind of pan she is talking about. Shirley explains that it is a tool that is not sold anywhere in the kingdom. The maids sigh and reply that if nobody sells it, then it might as well not exist. At that moment, one of them suddenly remembers someone who might be able to help. She says she knows a person who is skilled at making that sort of thing, and since there is currently very little work for him, he should have plenty of free time. Soon afterward, they head toward the palace workshop. Shirley calls out for Anton. Someone nearby informs him that the witch has come looking for him. She is told not to worry because she visits this place whenever she needs tools or special equipment. Since the craftsman's main responsibility is forging weapons and armor, and the kingdom is currently enjoying peace, they have not been very busy lately. Anton arrives and calls out to them. Smiling, he asks if Anathi has come because she needs another farming tool. Anathi shakes her head and tells him that today's customer is actually someone else. Shirley politely introduces herself, saying that it is a pleasure to meet him and explaining that she serves as a maid at the palace. Anton freezes in surprise. Shirley wonders why he suddenly looks so flustered. Without another word, Anton pulls Anathi aside. Confused, she asks him what is wrong with him and tells him that the least he could do is properly introduce himself. Embarrassed, Anton admits that he is terrible at talking to beautiful women. On top of that, Shirley is a palace maid, making him too nervous to even look directly at her. He begs Anathi to cut him some slack. Anathi complains that he is being incredibly rude. She points out that he did not even react like that when speaking with her. With that, she pushes him back toward Shirley. Anton nervously walks over again, struggling to find the right words. Finally, he asks if there is something she needs. He eagerly offers to forge a knife for her, boasting that he can make one sharp enough to slice straight through a cutting board. Shirley laughs and replies that cutting through either the board or her own hand would be a disaster. She explains that she has not come looking for a knife today. Instead, she says she needs a baking mold with a very specific design. Anton asks whether a baking mold is simply something that ingredients are poured into before being heated. As he starts thinking about it, he immediately begins analyzing the design. He says that uneven heat distribution would be a problem, but he could solve it by changing the thickness of different sections so the heat spreads evenly. Anatha quietly watches him and smiles to herself. There he goes again. He always complains beforehand, but the moment he starts working on creating something, he becomes completely absorbed in it. She tells Shirley that the two of them are actually very similar. Shirley pauses and wonders if she also loses herself whenever she creates something new, completely forgetting everything happening around her while diving into her own world. After thinking about it, she realizes that Anatha is absolutely right. A little while later, Anton returns and tells Shirley that he believes the mold can be made. He asks when she would like it finished. Shirley happily thanks him for agreeing to help. Meanwhile, snack time finally arrives. Shirley respectfully greets the young master. The moment he enters, everyone realizes that he has already sensed the presence of ice cream. Shirley quietly hopes that today's dessert will live up to his expectations. She reassures herself that everything will be fine and tells the others to begin preparing the plates. Once everything is ready, she thanks the young master for waiting and announces that today's snack is ice cream, exactly as he requested. The young master excitedly says that he has been looking forward to this moment because now he can finally enjoy as much ice cream as he wants. However, as he looks more closely, something catches his attention. He says he understands the ice cream but asks about the strange object it has been placed inside. Shirley explains that the container is called a cone. It allows him to comfortably hold the ice cream in his hand while eating it. Since there is no need for a spoon, he can enjoy it directly. She also reveals that the cone itself is completely edible. The young master remarks that it is a very interesting invention. Shirley tells him exactly where to hold it. Relieved that the first hurdle has been cleared, he immediately begins eating. The familiar cold sweetness is exactly what he had been craving all this time. A moment later, he bites into the cone itself and is surprised by its crisp, crunchy texture. He comments that its shape is fascinating and asks Shirley how she managed to create it. Shirley explains that the cone is made by spreading a very thin layer of batter onto a heated pan. After cooking both sides, it is removed while still hot and carefully rolled into shape. Since she did not have a proper mold available, she used a different method. She prepared a batter using egg whites and flour, spread it thinly across the pan, cooked each side, then rolled it up immediately while it remained warm. After allowing it to cool slightly, she reheated it so it would harden and keep its shape, giving it its signature crunchy texture. The young master praises her once again, saying that she always manages to come up with remarkably creative ideas. Smiling, Shirley asks if he would like to try something else next, and she presents another item for him to taste. Shirley presents William with a serving of soft-serve ice cream. It is incredibly smooth, creamy, and delicious. She explains that the difference between soft-serve ice cream and regular ice cream lies in the temperature at which they are prepared. She also mentions that they managed to make it while the older maids were busy serving the afternoon snacks. Next, she presents him with ice cream wafers. William curiously wonders whether this is also considered ice cream. The moment he takes a bite, his eyes widen in surprise as he realizes that the crunchy outer layer is filled with soft, creamy ice cream. Shirley explains that this particular wafer is slightly different from the Japanese-style version. Instead, it is made using flour and cornstarch, giving it a unique texture. William happily remarks that he never realized there were so many different ways to enjoy ice cream, and comments that discovering each variation is quite entertaining. Hearing his excitement, Shirley smiles and tells him that there is still one more treat left to try. She then presents him with a waffle ice cream sandwich. William stares at it in astonishment, wondering what this strange new creation is. He asks whether it is really a type of sandwich. Curious, he takes a bite and is immediately fascinated by its texture. He observes that the rich flavors of butter and flour blend perfectly with the melting ice cream. As he continues eating, he notices a pleasant grainy texture and excitedly wonders what it is because it tastes so delicious. The special item Shirley has prepared is a waffle made using the waffle maker she previously had crafted. Earlier, Anna had remarked that Shirley was asking far too much by expecting Anton to make all of those tools within a single week. Shirley realizes that she became overly excited and may have pushed Anton too hard with all of her requests. Because of that, she is determined to make today's snack time a complete success for his sake as well. With renewed determination, Shirley gets to work making fresh waffles. As expected, they become an overwhelming success. The waffles possess a crisp exterior while remaining wonderfully fluffy on the inside. The contrast between the crunchy and soft textures creates a delightful harmony with every bite. Shirley explains that the pleasant grainy texture comes from the sugar granules, which she intentionally included. It had originally been an experimental recipe, so she feels relieved and happy that William enjoys it so much. William remarks that he now understands why Shirley has prepared so many different styles and flavors of ice cream. He concludes that each variation offers a different texture, preventing anyone from growing tired of eating the same dessert. Shirley praises his reasoning and tells him that his deduction is exactly right. However, in her heart, she knows that his conclusion is actually incorrect. The real problem has only just begun. The purpose behind presenting the ice cream in so many different forms is actually very simple. It is merely a way to slow him down and fill him up. Shirley knows that if William continues eating nothing but ice cream, he will almost certainly upset his stomach. Since the number of times a person chews food is closely connected to the feeling of fullness, she hopes that the different textures will make him feel satisfied before he eats himself sick. Unfortunately, her plan fails completely. William simply asks her to bring him the next dessert. As expected, he continues eating one item after another without slowing down. Watching him, Shirley becomes increasingly worried, knowing that, at this rate, his stomach is bound to suffer. Just then, Shirley calls out to him. William suddenly says that his head hurts. Everyone immediately becomes alarmed, and the cheerful atmosphere disappears in an instant. Anna anxiously asks what is happening. What surprises everyone the most is that William complains about pain in his head rather than his stomach. Even Shirley stares at him in complete confusion, unable to understand why he is experiencing a headache instead of the stomachache she had been expecting. Claire immediately shouts that Clara is the fastest among them, so she should run and call for help at once. However, Shirley quickly asks everyone to wait for a moment before panicking. She gently requests that the young master drink the tea that has been prepared. Claire is left wondering what Shirley is trying to accomplish, since it is nothing more than lukewarm water. Nevertheless, William takes the cup, drinks a sip, and almost immediately remarks that he already feels much better. Everyone is instantly overwhelmed with relief upon hearing those words. Even so, Claire remains worried and asks whether he is truly certain that he is all right. She insists that she will still summon the physician later, as a precaution to ensure that nothing is wrong. William calmly reassures her that he is perfectly fine. After hearing his response, Claire turns toward Shirley and demands an explanation for what has just happened. Shirley explains that the young master never actually had a real headache. Instead, the ice cream caused the roof of his mouth to become extremely cold, and he simply mistook that sensation for a headache. She goes on to explain that this is a genuine phenomenon that occurs when someone eats something cold too quickly. It is commonly known as brain freeze or an ice cream headache, and it is an actual medical condition. She even emphasizes that she is not making it up. According to her explanation, when a very cold substance touches the roof of the mouth, it shocks the body's system. That sudden shock sends incorrect signals to the brain, which is believed to be the reason the pain occurs. She further explains that there are two simple ways to deal with this condition. The first method is to press the tongue firmly against the roof of the mouth to warm it up. The second method is to drink something warm, which gradually restores the normal temperature. Shirley then apologizes to William, admitting that she should have warned him about this before letting him eat so much ice cream. William, however, does not blame her in the slightest. Instead, he calmly remarks that it is his own fault for eating such a large amount so quickly. He reasons that the human body is naturally meant to stay warm, so it is only logical that consuming many cold foods in rapid succession would eventually cause some kind of discomfort. Claire agrees with that reasoning and firmly states that William must limit the amount of ice cream he eats from now on. Otherwise, all of their hard work would be meaningless if he were to become ill because of it. William admits that it is unfortunate, but accepts her point. Shirley feels incredibly relieved by how kind and reasonable the young master is. Only moments earlier, she had been convinced that she would never have another chance to see anyone again because she feared the worst. However, William soon points out that Shirley seems to possess an impressive amount of knowledge about ice cream. That observation immediately causes her to panic internally, fearing that he has become suspicious. William then asks when she believes ice cream tastes best. After thinking about it for a while, Shirley answers that it is probably best enjoyed after dinner or after taking a bath. William smiles warmly and reveals that he had been thinking exactly the same thing. He then casually announces that Shirley will prepare ice cream for him every single day after his bath from now on. The unexpected order completely shocks Shirley, leaving her screaming internally in disbelief. She cannot believe that she is the only person who has suddenly been given an extra daily task. William simply asks whether she understands the order, and despite her inner despair, she immediately agrees without hesitation. Although she initially thinks about how terrifying it is to serve within the royal palace, Shirley soon calms herself by realizing that the situation is not actually so bad. Since the ice cream can be stored after it is made, preparing it every day will not be too troublesome. Besides, she will also be making enough for herself to enjoy, making the task somewhat rewarding in the end. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the palace, someone is unable to believe what is happening. The palace lunch chef, Romain, is practically in a state of panic as he wonders how such a thing could possibly be occurring. William's meals should taste exactly the same as they always have, so he cannot understand why the young lord is suddenly eating only half of what he used to. Every single day, Romain carefully prepares the finest and most exquisite lunches for him. If the food itself were the problem, William would simply refuse to eat it altogether. Instead, it appears as though His Highness is deliberately trying to reduce the amount of food he consumes. At that moment, someone approaches Romain and mentions that, now that he brings it up, strange rumors have recently been circulating regarding His Highness's snack time. Curious and increasingly concerned, Romain immediately asks what those rumors are about. After listening to the entire explanation, he becomes absolutely furious. Shirley is seen running because she is running late. Just then, she hears a loud noise and immediately thinks that some kind of commotion seems to be taking place in the kitchen. As she arrives and wishes everyone a good morning, Anna suddenly rushes forward and embraces her in obvious distress. Alarmed by Anna's reaction, Shirley immediately asks what is wrong. Anna admits that she wishes she knew the answer herself, explaining that an extremely important chef has suddenly barged into the kitchen. At that moment, Avril is seen confronting Romain, questioning what business a lunch chef such as himself could possibly have there. Romain responds by telling her not to play dumb, declaring that it has come to his attention that they have been serving His Highness filling snacks on a regular basis. He points out that they had once served nothing but sweet confections, yet they have now begun offering crude fried foods along with dishes prepared using meat and cheese. Romain continues by accusing them of being responsible for His Highness barely eating his lunch anymore, demanding to know what the meaning of such behavior is. Upon hearing this, Shirley immediately realizes that the entire situation is her fault. The maids attempt to calm Romain by acknowledging that they understand why he is angry. However, they also point out that they should be free to prepare whatever kinds of snacks they choose to serve. Rather than calming down, Romain grows even more furious. He declares that they should stop pretending to be proper chefs because they are merely maids whose responsibility is to clean, not cook. His harsh words leave everyone completely taken aback. Nevertheless, he continues his tirade, explaining that he has never approved of the practice in the first place. He insists that he does not care whether it is a long-standing tradition or not, because he cannot tolerate the thought of amateurs using what he calls their filthy hands to prepare snacks for the royal family. Although Shirley believes that the situation may indeed have started because of her, she also realizes that Romain has gone far beyond simply criticizing the snacks. Even the maids begin murmuring among themselves, recognizing that his accusations no longer have anything to do with the quality of the food itself. Instead, Romain goes on to claim that they have deceived His Highness through their vulgar style of cooking. Wearing a smug expression, he remarks that if they truly understand his warning, they should never prepare such snacks again. At that very moment, Avril firmly declares that Romain has gone too far. After being insulted so severely, she refuses to remain silent any longer. She explains that their duty is to do everything within their power to ensure that the young master enjoys himself, and she questions what could possibly be wrong with fulfilling that responsibility. Shirley silently agrees with Avril's reasoning, believing that if the lunches prepared in the kitchen were truly better than the snacks, then the young master would naturally choose them instead. Encouraged by Avril's words, all of the maids begin voicing their agreement and loudly demand that Romain return to his own kitchen. Watching the argument continue to escalate, Shirley cannot help but think that the entire confrontation has turned into a major incident because of her. At the same time, it is obvious that Romain has become even more enraged. Realizing that the situation cannot continue any longer, Shirley immediately steps forward and asks everyone to wait for a moment. She openly admits that she is the one who has been serving those filling snacks and calmly states that if anyone has complaints regarding them, they should direct those complaints toward her alone. Avril immediately tells Shirley that she is wrong because this is no longer merely her problem. Romain has just insulted every single one of the snack maids, and they cannot possibly allow such an insult to stand. Instead, they decide to find out once and for all whether they are truly inferior to the palace chef or not. Romain, realizing that they are challenging him, becomes even more confrontational. He questions whether they genuinely believe they can defeat him in a battle where both sides have to prepare snacks, or something similar. Avril, however, explains that such a competition would favor them far too heavily. Instead, she proposes that they divide the challenge between lunch and dessert, believing that this would make the contest fairer for both sides. This suggestion causes Romain to shout that they are remarkably persistent. He cannot believe that they actually dare to challenge him to a lunch battle. Nevertheless, he accepts their challenge and declares that he will put them in their place. However, he establishes his own condition. If he wins, the palace chefs will take control of snack time from that point onward as well. In that case, the snack maids will truly become nothing more than the cleaning ladies they are supposed to be. Avril accepts his condition without hesitation. She declares that if they win, however, they will never allow him to interfere in their affairs again. Furthermore, he will have to recognize them as full-fledged chefs who deserve the same respect as him. Romain readily agrees to those terms. He even goes so far as to declare that he will grovel before them if they manage to win, and allow them to serve lunch as well. With that settled, he brings up an upcoming occasion. In a month, His Highness and Lady Ashley are scheduled to have a lunch get-together, so he proposes that they hold their battle on that very day. Avril agrees that the arrangement works for them. Romain then leaves the kitchen, declaring that the matter is settled and wishing them good luck, although he smugly adds that their efforts will ultimately be pointless. The moment Romain disappears from sight, the maids are absolutely furious. They cannot believe the audacity of that mustachioed prick and consider his behavior completely unforgivable. They wonder why he even came there in the first place, especially when all he did was insult them and look down upon their work. Their anger continues to rise as they imagine beating him to a pulp for the way he has treated them. However, beneath all their outrage, there is also genuine worry. They begin wondering what they are going to do and whether they will actually be all right. Romain is not simply some ordinary chef they have challenged without thinking. He is the most skilled of all the lunch chefs, and defeating someone of his caliber is far easier said than done. Avril eventually turns toward everyone and apologizes. She explains that, now that matters have reached this point, they have no choice but to do everything within their ability to uphold the dignity and honor of the snack maids. Shirley, however, immediately interrupts and asks everyone to hold on for a second. She reminds them that all of this trouble has started because of her, and therefore, she wants everyone to allow her to take responsibility for it. The other maids immediately tell Shirley not to push herself or take the entire burden upon her shoulders. They do not want her to feel as though she has to handle everything alone. Shirley, however, assures them that they should leave it to her because she already has a plan. Hearing this, everyone begins clapping for Shirley, delighted by the sudden confidence she displays. They admit that they had a feeling she might have something up her sleeve, and they become excited at the thought of her having a plan that could teach Romain a proper lesson. The atmosphere becomes lighter as everyone starts having fun with the situation and looking forward to seeing what Shirley intends to do. Anna, however, notices something that the others seem to overlook. She points out that Shirley's hands are trembling. Shirley knows that Anna is right. Of course she is nervous. In one corner stands a palace chef, someone who has dedicated himself to the culinary arts and has the experience and skill to prove it. In the other corner stands an ordinary person like herself. Naturally, the difference between them is intimidating, and there is no way for Shirley to pretend that she is not frightened by the challenge. It does not matter that this is her second life. Even with all the experiences and knowledge she has carried over from her previous life, she is genuinely scared. In fact, there is something she fears even more than losing the competition itself. What terrifies Shirley the most is the thought of burdening her sister if she loses, and bringing shame upon all of them. She knows that she is the one who has caused this entire situation in the first place, and that knowledge weighs heavily on her. At the same time, Shirley cannot ignore the passion her sister has for making snacks. Snack making is not merely some insignificant task to them. It is something her sister genuinely loves, something that carries meaning and pride for all of them. The snack maids have inherited this tradition from their predecessors, passing it down through the generations and preserving the work that came before them. Because of that, Shirley realizes that this competition is no longer simply about proving whether she can defeat Romaine. It is about her sister, the other snack maids, their pride, their passion, and the tradition they have all inherited from those who came before them. Shirley may be terrified of losing, but she knows that she cannot simply step away from the challenge now. She cannot let him call that fake. She thanks Anna, assuring her that she is completely fine now. They only need to wait. She plans to prepare something extraordinary. She intends to create the best lunch the young master has ever had. That is what she actually has in mind. She knows the direction she wants to take, but she has absolutely no information about her opponent. He is a palace chef after all. It is not as though she can simply do something like ask him to give her a taste of his cooking. She is about to face an opponent she knows practically nothing about, and that thought continues to bother her. She simply wants to know what kind of dish he is going to make. Perhaps she can sneak into his kitchen and steal a bite somehow. Just then, there is a knock on the door. She opens it and finds Claire standing outside. Claire explains that it seems Shirley will be facing off against Romaine. She has already heard about everything. She has heard that Romaine called the maid a fox chef. Shirley confirms that this is indeed what happened. Claire then brings up the other insult as well, the fact that Romaine claims the maids have deceived His Highness with their vulgar cooking. Shirley admits that he said that too. This makes Claire so furious that she immediately insists Shirley must win. Shirley is secretly relieved that Claire was not there when all of it happened. With that, Claire asks Shirley to come with her. Just then, someone arrives and presents a dish. Shirley looks at it and asks Claire whether this is what she thinks it is. Claire explains that the dish is made by Romaine. She has fibbed a little and asked him to prepare it for a guest. Shirley thinks that she feels sorry about the deception, but that hardly matters now. This is genuinely Romaine's cooking. Claire encourages her to do her best. Shirley thanks her profusely. Now she is back in her room, staring at the food as she thinks about just how incredible it is. This truly is an art on her palate. Everything is so carefully considered, so vibrant, and so beautifully put together. She enjoys both ordinary food and elaborate, expensive cuisine. However, she was not terribly affluent in her past life, so she could never afford a gourmet meal like this. She knows that she cannot endure the temptation any longer. She is going to dig in. She takes her first bite, and it is unbelievably delicious. She immediately realizes that he probably cooks it slowly in the oven to seal in all the flavor. And he does it perfectly. There is a wonderful synergy between the slightly firm crust and the juicy interior. The contrast is so satisfying that she cannot put her knife and fork down. Everything is exceptionally delicious. Every component is cooked to perfection. She knows this is the skill of a world-class chef. It appears that Chef Romaine is a master griller, and this is the opponent she is going to face. She now understands that she has to compete against a chef capable of creating something like this. No wonder he is so confident, but she does not have time to linger on that thought. After all, she has to make something capable of beating this. Actually, she has to find it. The one thing that can close the gap between them. The one thing that can serve as a lifeline and allow the young majesty to enjoy himself even more. 1 month later, at the palace dining hall, His Highness and Lady Ashley have arrived. His Highness remarks that he has heard there will be something special today, and he notices that there are so many people gathered for the occasion. Romar explains to His Highness that yesterday, both the chefs and the maids prepared meals for him, and he asks him to please feel free to compare the two. They have come together out of their shared desire to provide His Highness and Lady Ashley with the finest possible hospitality. Shirley thinks that this is right. There is an official reason given for what they are doing after all. His Highness says that a comparison sounds interesting. As he looks around, he notices that Shirley is also there. Shirley acknowledges his presence and tells the young master that the maids have also prepared the finest meal for him. She promises that it will be something he has never experienced before. This immediately excites him. The thought of having lunch made by Shirley sounds even more exciting to him. Even Ashley expresses her hope that it will not turn out to be a bad experience. Romaine announces that they shall commence. First, they will have the lunch prepared by the chef. and he asks the two of them to please enjoy it. The appetizer is shrimp bisque soup. The first main course is whitefish. The second main course is lamb. For the roots, there is a little bit of azotted cheese. And finally, for dessert, there is peach delight. Romain confidently remarks that he will not need to do anything new in order to beat the likes of them. After all, he always prepares the finest lunch. Shirley thinks that perhaps that is true before the guests arrive, but she still cannot believe that something this fancy is considered nothing new for them. His Highness sits down in his chair, and Shirley immediately notices his elegant table manners. At snack time, the young master is always simply doing things however he wants, but right now, he is absolutely impeccable. That should be expected though, considering that he belongs to the nobility. Dining is a skill, and the person with whom one dines is also an aspect of public affairs for figures of importance. If they do not behave as expected, their reputation can plummet. That is why Shirley hates the fact that this kind of etiquette has been hammered into the young master since he was only a toddler. Ashley takes a bite of the food and declares that it is splendid. Even His Highness agrees, finding it exactly as expected from the palace chef. Romain steps forward and bows to him, thanking him profusely. However, as he straightens himself, he grins at Shirley. Shirley immediately thinks that it is such a nasty look. All the maids begin whispering among themselves, wondering whether everything is really going to be okay. The chef's cooking is clearly on an entirely different level. Avril tells everyone that they cannot act like this already. They have not even presented their meals yet. They need to have faith in all the effort they have put in over the past month. One of the maids admits that they are right. After all, they really have done their best. Shirley thinks that this is right. They have to have faith in their cooking. Besides, what is done is done. All they can do now is believe in themselves and serve what they have made. His Highness declares that the meal was enjoyable. Then, he asks them to bring in what the maids have prepared. Shirley immediately responds and gets to work. With that, she presents her food. She announces that she is grateful to everyone for waiting and reveals that this is the meal prepared by the maids, a lunch from a foreign land. And that meal is a hamburger meal. Silence fills the room before Romain suddenly bursts into laughter. He declares that the situation is truly incredible. He admits that although he had never expected Shirley to be capable of preparing a proper lunch, he certainly never imagined that the result would be this dreadful. He ridicules the dish before him, questioning what kind of absurd meal it is. In his eyes, the meat has simply been stuffed inside the bread to conceal how crudely it has been prepared, while the accompanying potatoes appear to be nothing more than ordinary fried slices. The entire meal seems utterly unbelievable to him. Believing that such food is unworthy of royalty, Romain immediately apologizes to His Highness. He insists that the meal should be taken away at once and replaced with something suitable. However, instead of sharing his disgust, His Highness displays genuine curiosity and astonishment. Rather than dismissing the unfamiliar dish, His Highness calmly asks Shirley which item should be eaten first. Shirley explains that the hamburger itself is the main course, while everything arranged around it serves as side dishes. She respectfully instructs him to begin by wrapping the cloth around the hamburger, holding it with his hands and taking a direct bite from it. His Highness wonders whether this is truly the proper custom in foreign countries, where the main course is eaten in such a manner. Meanwhile, Romain falls into complete panic, unable to believe that His Highness genuinely intends to eat it. He hurriedly protests, insisting that someone of noble standing should never hold food with their hands. He reminds His Highness of the refined and elegant dining etiquette he had demonstrated earlier, claiming that such graceful manners are the only proper way for nobility to dine. His Highness, however, calmly responds that there is a country in the Far East where people deliberately use their hands while eating in order to feel the temperature of their food. According to the customs of that nation, doing so is considered both the most delicious and the most proper way to enjoy a meal. He remarks that Romain is the last person he would have expected to be unaware of such knowledge. Cornered by the unexpected statement, Romain immediately changes his attitude and hurriedly claims that he had known about the custom all along, adding that the world is indeed vast and filled with many traditions. Shirley quietly realizes that His Highness is merely repeating the fabricated story she herself had invented earlier, yet she remains silent. Without any further hesitation, William lifts the hamburger and takes his first bite. The moment he tastes it, his expression changes completely. He is astonished by its remarkable flavor and immediately declares it to be extraordinarily delicious. His reaction leaves even Romain speechless with confusion. William observes that the meat placed between the slices of bread is far from ordinary. Instead, countless flavors blend together perfectly within a single bite. The rich sauce harmoniously ties every ingredient together, creating a balanced and satisfying taste unlike anything he has experienced before. Upon hearing his praise, the surrounding maids begin whispering excitedly among themselves. They proudly believe that the hamburger has turned out perfectly. To them, it is undoubtedly the finest dish they have ever created together. Shirley explains that the meal before them is truly a masterpiece, made possible only through the combined efforts of every maid involved. From the very beginning, she carefully organized the work by dividing the preparation of the hamburger into separate components and assigning each section to a different team. She instructed every group to perfect its own responsibility so that, once assembled, every element would complement the others flawlessly. The first team is entrusted with preparing the buns. Their objective is to create bread that is neither excessively hard nor overly soft. The buns must possess a pleasant texture while still maintaining their own distinct flavor. At the same time, they need to pair perfectly with the meat, absorb the juices and sauce without becoming soggy, and leave behind a satisfying aftertaste. Through close cooperation with the other teams and meticulous refinement, the first team successfully fulfills its role with remarkable precision. The second team is responsible for preparing the beef patties. Shirley explains that Clara is naturally far more confident when cooking meat than when making sweets, making her the ideal person for this assignment. The team carefully selects only the highest quality premium beef before shaping it into patties. Every patty is meticulously prepared and then grilled over charcoal to preserve the meat's natural flavor. The seasoning is intentionally kept simple, consisting primarily of salt, pepper, and a carefully chosen blend of herbs and spices, allowing the rich taste of the beef itself to remain the undisputed star of the dish. Finally, the third team is assigned the task of preparing the cheese. Shirley explains that their country is renowned for its abundance of dairy products, giving them access to countless varieties of cheese. This wide selection allows the team to carefully choose the perfect cheese that complements the remaining ingredients and completes the hamburger's overall harmony of flavors. It is often said that finding the right ingredients is the key to creating the perfect meal, and the cheese proves to be no exception. Out of the countless varieties available in the kingdom, the maids somehow managed to discover the perfect cheese to accompany the hamburger. It possesses a rich and complex flavor while melting beautifully over the hot beef patty, acting as the ideal supporting ingredient rather than overpowering the meat itself. Every element comes together in complete harmony, resulting in what Shirley proudly presents as the ultimate hamburger, specially crafted through the combined efforts of the entire maid staff. After savoring several bites, William becomes curious about the remaining dishes arranged around the hamburger. He asks Shirley in what order the other items should be eaten. Shirley explains that none of the side dishes are intended to be enjoyed separately. Instead, they are meant to accompany the main course, allowing the diner to alternate between them in whichever order feels most enjoyable. She politely encourages him to eat them however he pleases, while continuing to enjoy the hamburger. Growing even more excited, William immediately reaches for the fries with his fingers. The sight nearly causes Romain to panic once again. He is utterly horrified that His Highness is now picking up fried food with his bare fingers as well, believing such behavior to be completely inappropriate for a nobleman. Nevertheless, William pays no attention to his concerns and takes a bite. The moment he tastes the fries, he is once again filled with delight. He remarks that they are far more than ordinary potatoes. The exterior is perfectly crisp and crunchy, while the inside remains wonderfully soft, fluffy, and warm. The contrast between the textures creates an unexpectedly satisfying experience. Upon hearing his praise, Anna becomes overwhelmed with emotion and nearly cries out in joy. She can hardly believe that their efforts have succeeded so perfectly. This time, Anna has been placed in charge of preparing the fried dishes. Recently, she has discovered that she possesses a remarkable talent for making fries. Rather than simply slicing raw potatoes and frying them as usual, she develops a far more elaborate method. The potatoes are first fully cooked and mashed into a smooth consistency. Afterward, they are carefully shaped before finally being fried in hot oil. Since the potatoes have already been cooked beforehand, the frying process only needs to crisp the exterior, allowing the inside to remain exceptionally light and tender. The seasoning is mixed directly into the mashed potatoes before they are shaped, ensuring that every bite is evenly flavored and eliminating any possibility of the salt being distributed unevenly. The result is a batch of irresistibly addictive fries with a wonderfully light texture, making them so delicious that anyone who tastes them finds it nearly impossible to stop eating. Watching William enjoy the meal so enthusiastically, Ashley decides that she should sample it herself as well. However, before taking a bite, she notices that the hamburger prepared for her differs slightly from William's. Curious, she asks Shirley about the reason. Shirley explains that she has heard Ashley is particularly fond of vegetables, so they deliberately prepared a version containing additional vegetables to better suit her personal preferences. Understanding the thoughtful consideration behind the change, Ashley nods in appreciation before taking her first bite. The instant she tastes it, she is completely astonished. She cannot believe how perfectly every ingredient works together. The bread, the shrimp, the meat, and the fresh vegetables blend into a single harmonious flavor, despite being so different from one another. The combination is so lively and enjoyable that she feels as though a grand festival is taking place inside her mouth. However, in that very moment, she notices Romain standing nearby. Unwilling to reveal just how much she enjoys the meal in front of him, she quickly forces herself to maintain her composure and casually remarks that it is merely a decent effort. Remembering Shirley's explanation about the proper way to enjoy the meal, Ashley follows the suggested method and eats another fry while still continuing with the hamburger. The combination completely captivates her. She instantly falls in love with the experience, finding that the alternating flavors make the meal even more enjoyable. As everyone continues eating, William suddenly notices that no beverage has yet been served. He points out its absence. Shirley confidently assures him that, naturally, they have prepared a drink of the finest quality specifically for him. At that moment, she realizes that the time has finally arrived to commit what she jokingly considers a grave sin. With complete confidence, she presents a glass of cola. The sight of the drink immediately shocks Ashley. She stares at the dark, bubbling liquid in disbelief before throwing a small tantrum, demanding to know what exactly it is. To her, the black color and continuous bubbles make it resemble some sort of dangerous poison. Shirley had anticipated precisely this reaction. She readily admits that the appearance certainly does make it seem suspicious at first glance. Although the head maid has already carefully inspected every ingredient used in its preparation and confirmed that it is perfectly safe, Shirley realizes that she still needs to reassure everyone personally. She calmly explains that it is not poison at all. Instead, it is a carbonated beverage made using carbonated water. As its name suggests, carbonated water is simply water infused with carbon dioxide gas. She further explains that producing such water by ordinary means is practically impossible. However, nature itself provides a solution through rare locations, where carbonated water naturally flows from the ground. These remarkable places are known as soda springs. Rumors circulate that beverages similar to this apparently exist in Japan, where certain establishments enhance them with additional flavoring, carbonate them, and sell them. Shirley explains that she has heard rumors that such a place also exists somewhere within the kingdom, so she takes advantage of the opportunity and asks the head maid to obtain some for this special occasion. After listening to the explanation, Ashley remarks that she now understands why the drink is bubbling, yet she notices that its color is different from what she expected. William studies the beverage for a moment before observing that there is some kind of stick inside the cup. He wonders how anyone is supposed to drink it. He also comments that Shirley always introduces the strangest things, though he admits that this one is delicious as well. Shirley confidently assures him that it certainly is. She explains that the object inside the cup is called a straw. She instructs him to place his mouth against it and sip gently, allowing the liquid to travel upward through the straw so that he can enjoy the beverage. In her opinion, a cola served alongside a hamburger absolutely must be accompanied by a straw. She considers it an unbreakable rule, which is precisely why she has one specially made for this occasion. Romain remarks that it is only natural for everyone to be suspicious of something that looks so unusual. However, the moment he takes his first sip, he is left completely astonished, declaring that he has never tasted a beverage as delicious as this before. The incredible flavor causes him to shiver with excitement and amazement. William also finds himself thoroughly impressed. He comments that the pleasant fizz feels wonderful as it travels down his throat, while the sweetness is so irresistible that he simply cannot stop drinking. He begins wondering what kind of mysterious flavor could possibly create such an enjoyable experience. Shirley explains that cola is prepared by simmering a variety of spices together with citrus fruits. She elaborates that ingredients such as lemon, ginger, and several different spices are boiled together with sugar until they form a rich syrup. Carbonated water is then added to the finished syrup, creating the final beverage. She points out that the refreshing sensation comes not only from the carbonation itself, but also from the carefully selected combination of ingredients. William remarks that drinking the cola while eating the hamburger makes the entire meal even more enjoyable. Shirley then mentions that, since Ashley apparently has a fondness for grapes, her own beverage has been specially prepared to resemble the flavor of a grape soda. In doing so, she humorously admits that she has given soda to children, playfully committing what she calls one of the 7 sins of food. Shirley then announces to the young master and the young lady that their dessert is about to be served. At that very moment, Jacqueline steps forward and proudly presents the strawberry shake. Ashley immediately questions whether the strawberry shake should really be considered a beverage. Shirley explains that, for today's special menu, it is intended to serve as a unique dessert. She describes it as a classic chilled treat made by combining ice cream with strawberry sauce. She further mentions that there has always been a debate over whether a shake should be classified as a dessert or as a drink. Regardless of that discussion, she personally believes it serves as the perfect conclusion to the meal. She also points out that Team 4 has poured all of its effort and dedication into preparing it. Ashley admires the strawberry shake, commenting on how beautiful it looks. William is intrigued by the unusual name and eagerly takes a taste. The moment he does, he is astonished to discover that it combines the qualities of a drink with those of his favorite ice cream. He praises the remarkable combination, believing it to be an extraordinary creation. After the 2 young nobles finish enjoying every part of their meal, Romain finally gathers the courage to ask which lunch they have liked the most. William apologetically admits that, if he must choose a favorite among everything served that day, he prefers the lunch prepared by the maids. The instant those words are spoken, every maid erupts into cheers of celebration. They jump excitedly with joy, shouting that although the entire preparation has been incredibly hectic and exhausting, all of their hard work has finally paid off. Not willing to accept defeat so easily, Romain immediately turns to Ashley and asks whether she at least prefers the lunch prepared by his side. However, Ashley gently replies that, although she has enjoyed everything, she also believes that the hamburger prepared by the maids is the better meal. Romain cries out in complete disbelief, insisting that it simply cannot be true. He declares that he and his team have prepared the finest lunches for the palace diners every single day. He cannot accept the idea that their carefully crafted meals could truly be considered inferior to what he dismissively calls mere gimmicks. William calmly explains that although he enjoys the meals prepared by the maids, he does not like something simply because it is unusual. Wanting to judge the food fairly, he turns toward Shirley and asks her to let him try one of the hamburgers. A hamburger is then presented to Romain. He takes it with visible skepticism and confidently remarks that there is no way it could possibly be that good. However, the instant he takes his first bite, his confidence completely disappears. He is stunned by the incredible flavor and can only admit that it is delicious. Unable to believe what he is tasting, he wonders how such a thing is even possible. He carefully analyzes every component of the hamburger. The bread is of excellent quality, the meat is perfectly prepared, and the cheese is equally impressive. Yet he realizes that none of those ingredients alone explain why the hamburger surpasses his own cuisine. He finally discovers the answer. It is the sauce. The sauce ties every ingredient together and elevates the entire dish to another level. Naturally, the hamburger is so delicious because Shirley has created the sauce while keeping the recipe of a certain famous burger chain in mind. In her previous life, she had enjoyed attempting to recreate that famous sauce after its recipe had been made public. This time, however, she has devoted herself to perfecting it by using only the finest ingredients available. She believes that this single element is what allows them to bridge the gap between themselves and a professionally trained chef. She reflects that the greatest weakness she noticed in the chef's lunch was the sauce. In this world, the history of cuisine has always been built upon sauces. Generation after generation, countless chefs have encountered new ingredients, sometimes cooperating with one another and sometimes competing fiercely, gradually developing and passing down their treasured sauce recipes. Within this kingdom's brigade, however, knowledge about the culinary traditions of other nations is difficult to obtain. As a result, their sauces have had very little opportunity to evolve and diversify. After realizing the truth, Romain openly admits his defeat, while all of the maids celebrate their hard-earned victory with overflowing joy. Shirley quietly reflects that she is incapable of preparing elegant French cuisine or other sophisticated noble dishes. However, she can at least recreate the meals that once brought happiness into her own life. Those dishes are ordinary food meant for common people, yet they are filled with precious memories. She fondly remembers countless lunches spent happily stuffing her mouth with delicious food. If she can give young Master William and Lady Ashley even a small part of that same experience through her cooking, then she believes that would be more than enough. William rises from his seat and addresses everyone gathered before him. He expresses that today's meal has given him a truly wonderful experience. More importantly, he says that his greatest wish is for everyone working within the palace to live and work together in harmony. He sincerely hopes that every person present can fulfill that wish. In response, everyone respectfully answers in unison, acknowledging his words and promising to do so. After William departs, Romain steps forward and declares that he has lost the contest. As promised before the competition began, he announces that he will relinquish his position as the palace's lunch chef and leave the palace altogether. Everest immediately stops him, explaining that there is no need for such an extreme decision. The battle was never fought to drive him away. They only challenged him to protect the pride and dignity of the snack maids. As long as everyone continues working together within the palace while treating one another as equals, that alone is enough. Furthermore, the maids barely managed to prepare this single lunch, proving that a skilled professional chef is still absolutely necessary. At that moment, Claire approaches from behind and calmly informs Romain that he is permitted to remain at the palace because they have decided to allow it. However, she firmly warns him never to look down upon the maids again. She also reminds him to recognize that he still has much left to learn as a chef. Romain accepts their kindness with gratitude. Nevertheless, before leaving, he turns his attention toward Shirley. He realizes that she is the true mastermind responsible for all of today's remarkable dishes. As a professional chef, he cannot bear the humiliation of being defeated by someone as young as her. He solemnly vows that one day, he will avenge this defeat before walking away, declaring that he will never forget what has happened today. Shirley realizes that she has managed to attract the attention of someone who could become quite troublesome in the future. Even so, she chooses not to dwell on it. After all, the only thing that truly matters is that they have successfully protected the place they call home. Without wasting another moment, Claire reminds everyone that there is still preparation to be done for snack time and orders them to get back to work immediately. Having no reason to object, the maids answer together with determination, acknowledging her command before hurrying off to continue their duties. The scene cuts to Claire advising William that he should perhaps limit his cola intake to only 1 cup a day. To William, such a suggestion feels almost unbearable, making him react as though she is asking him to give up something essential to his happiness. Half a month has passed since the battle with the lunch chef. Ever since that victory, the young master has developed quite an attachment to cola, drinking several cups of it every single day. Shirley realizes that this habit cannot continue forever, so she begins considering the need to research and create a beverage containing far less sugar while still being enjoyable. At that moment, Clara approaches Shirley because she has something important to discuss. She informs her that Team 5 has been assigned the responsibility of serving lunch to the nobility. Shirley finds this rather surprising, as she believes such duties normally belong to the palace chefs. Clara then explains the reason behind the unusual request. News of Shirley's victory over the main chefs has already spread throughout the royal palace and has even reached the ears of the noble families. Her remarkable cooking has attracted their attention, and they have specifically requested that she prepare their meal. In addition to lunch, several noble ladies have also requested that she make snacks for them. However, if Shirley feels unable to accept the request, they are willing to let her decline without any obligation. Shirley gladly accepts the opportunity, believing that the noble ladies have gone through the effort of requesting her personally, so she has every intention of meeting their expectations. When the meal is finally served, the noble ladies cautiously take their first bites of the hamburgers. Although they initially consider the food rather primitive in appearance, they are immediately impressed by its rich and satisfying flavor. They realize that this is the very meal His Highness enjoys so much. Alongside it, they taste the unusual beverage, and the combination makes them feel as though they have been transported into an entirely different world. Despite originally feeling doubtful about eating with their hands, they soon come to appreciate the unique dining experience. They even begin commenting that exploring the customs and cuisine of other cultures can be truly fascinating. The luncheon proceeds exceptionally well. During the meal, one noble lady brings up the subject of tomatoes and ketchup, remarking that such ingredients can only be obtained within the royal palace. Ever since tomatoes began being served there, the old myths and superstitions surrounding the fruit have gradually disappeared. Rather than being feared, tomatoes have instead become objects of great curiosity among the aristocracy. Shirley explains that her own father has become deeply involved in producing ketchup. She politely offers that, if the ladies wish, she can arrange for freshly made ketchup to be delivered directly to their residences. The offer fills the noble ladies with excitement. The narration reveals that immediately after Shirley told her father about serving ketchup during snack time, he contacted local farmers to begin cultivating the necessary tomatoes. After obtaining Shirley's recipe, he also started producing ketchup himself, turning it into a genuine business opportunity. The noble ladies leave the luncheon thoroughly satisfied, praising it as a splendid meal. They express their sincere hope that Shirley will prepare food for them again in the future, and she happily agrees to their request. Once the guests depart, everyone immediately returns to their regular duties. Their next responsibility is preparing the young master's afternoon snack. Since entertaining the noble guests takes longer than expected, the snack is served somewhat later than usual. During snack time, William once again thoroughly enjoys everything placed before him. He finds the dessert incredibly delicious, especially admiring the contrast between the crisp outer layer and the smooth, creamy filling inside. The combination captivates him so completely that he simply cannot get enough of it. Today's snack consists of cream puffs. In her previous life, Shirley had once been inspired by the cream puff specialty shops commonly found inside train stations, motivating her to learn how to recreate them herself. The fragrant pastry shell, paired with chilled custard filling, creates a combination that she considers perfectly harmonious. This time, however, she has prepared something extra for William to taste. William notices another dessert with an especially adorable appearance. After taking a bite, he discovers that it is every bit as delicious as the first one. Unlike the crisp pastry, this version is much softer, gently squishing in his mouth with every bite while releasing a rich chocolate cream filling. To provide a variety of textures and flavors, Shirley has prepared both crisp cream puffs and soft cream puffs. Since choosing between the two versions would be difficult, she also makes smaller soft cream puffs, allowing William to enjoy both styles without having to decide which one is better. Fortunately, they are able to obtain cocoa beans, allowing Shirley to prepare a rich chocolate custard for the cream puff filling. However, producing chocolate from scratch remains an incredibly grueling and time-consuming process, requiring a great deal of effort before the finished product is ready. After William leaves, everyone immediately begins preparing for the next task on the schedule. Their next responsibility is serving snacks to the ladies of the noble families. Anna confirms that the gathering is being held in the garden on the opposite side of the palace. Just then, Clara approaches the two of them. Noticing how occupied they already are, she tells them that she and the others will take care of cleaning up the kitchen, encouraging Shirley and Anna to leave without worrying about the remaining work. Shirley immediately refuses the offer, believing it would be inappropriate to ask the others to handle such duties on her behalf. However, Clara reassures her that it is no trouble at all. She explains that everyone in their team has recently benefited from Shirley's accomplishments. Ever since the famous cooking battle, people constantly approach them asking for stories about what happened, making the entire team unexpectedly popular. Hearing such heartfelt encouragement, both Shirley and Anna sincerely thank everyone before hurrying toward the garden. Meanwhile, the noble ladies are thoroughly enjoying the snacks that have been prepared for them. They are amazed by the incredibly fluffy pastries and find it difficult to believe that such a wonderfully chilled sweet dessert could taste so exquisite. They admit that their expectations had already been quite high because Lady Ashley had enthusiastically praised Shirley's desserts beforehand. Even so, those expectations have been completely surpassed. The ladies become so impressed that they declare they will now be enthusiastically recommending these treats to others as well. Shirley quietly reflects on the fact that Lady Ashley had apparently been praising her desserts so passionately without her even realizing it. As the gathering concludes, one of the noble ladies expresses how wonderful everything has been. She wishes she could take some of the delicious chocolate home to share with her family and friends, although she is unsure how she could possibly do so. Shirley smiles and reveals that she had already anticipated such a request. She explains that they have actually prepared beautifully packaged boxes of chocolate specifically for each of the guests to take home. The noble ladies become absolutely delighted upon seeing the elegant boxes. They are certain everyone will be amazed when they present such beautiful gifts to their families and friends. After all of the guests depart, Shirley sincerely thanks everyone for attending before returning to work. Once again, she and Anna immediately resume their duties. There is still plenty to accomplish, beginning with cleaning everything up before moving on to the next task waiting for them. At last, the time they have been looking forward to finally arrives. The two of them hurry along at full speed, repeatedly apologizing for keeping the witch lady waiting. The witch lady teasingly remarks that they must have wanted to eat sweet potatoes so badly that they rushed all the way there. She explains that she has only just taken them out of the fire. She then hands the freshly cooked sweet potatoes over to Shirley. As Shirley carefully unwraps them, she cannot help but admire the results. The witch lady reminds Shirley that she simply followed the instructions exactly as they had been explained. First, the sweet potatoes were thoroughly washed before being wrapped in banana leaves so that they would not become dirty while cooking. Afterward, a fire was built using nothing more than fallen twigs and dried leaves before the potatoes were buried beneath the ground. Even so, the witch lady still wonders whether such a simple cooking method could truly cook the sweet potatoes properly. Shirley simply explains that she will understand the answer the moment she tastes them. The three of them each take a bite. The sweet potatoes turn out to be unbelievably delicious. Steamed beneath the ground, they emerge piping hot, wonderfully fluffy, and naturally sweet. To Shirley, this is the ultimate autumn snack, something that can only truly be enjoyed during the fall season. In her mind, sweet potatoes are simply the best. The witch lady is astonished. She remarks that sweet potatoes never turn out like this when they are steamed in the ordinary way. She cannot understand why they taste so incredibly good when all she did was bury them beneath the ground. Shirley vaguely recalls that the secret may have something to do with far infrared rays generated during the cooking process, although she cannot remember the scientific explanation very well. In the end, however, she decides that the explanation does not really matter. To Shirley, the true reason the sweet potatoes taste so wonderful is because she is sharing them with her friends. After finishing the meal, Shirley happily thanks the witch lady, telling her that everything was absolutely delicious and promising that they will come again next time. Soon afterward, she and Anna begin making their way back. As they leave, the witch lady quietly reflects that life is never boring whenever those two are around. After returning, Shirley finishes making additional chocolate, prepares dinner, completes all of the preparations for tomorrow's work, and wraps up her professional culinary research. Only after every single responsibility has been completed is she finally finished with the day's work. Now comes a special routine that not even Anna knows about. It is Shirley's secret late-night snack time. Throughout the entire day, she has prepared countless dishes for other people, but this moment is reserved entirely for herself. This is the part she enjoys the most, cooking solely for her own satisfaction. After working so tirelessly from morning until night, she believes she has more than earned this small reward. She understands perfectly well the comforting feeling of ending an exhausting day by eating a large, steaming meat bun, and that simple pleasure is exactly what she has been looking forward to all day. Just at that moment, William approaches from behind and calls out to Shirley. Startled by the sudden voice, she quickly turns around and finds him standing there. Looking both surprised and concerned, she wonders why he is wandering around by himself at such a late hour. William casually explains that there is actually a hidden passage leading directly from his room, allowing him to move freely throughout the palace without anyone noticing. However, he asks her not to reveal this secret to anyone, admitting that he would lose one of his favorite sources of entertainment if the passage were discovered. His attention soon shifts to the food she is holding, and he curiously wonders what she is trying to eat at this hour of the night. Shirley is immediately caught off guard by the question, but William simply grins and playfully implies that if she shares some of it with him, he will keep her little secret. Although Shirley repeatedly tries to persuade him to return to his room, William stubbornly refuses. He continues commenting on how wonderful the food smells while rambling on about various things, making it obvious that he has no intention of leaving anytime soon. Realizing that there is no way to change his mind, Shirley accepts the situation. Not only is she emotionally unable to refuse him, but his position as the young master also leaves her with little choice. She explains that the food is a meat bun. Since it is still quite hot, she believes it tastes even better when eaten outside in the cool night air. She then suggests that, if he would like, they could enjoy the buns together in the garden while gazing up at the stars. A short while later, the two of them are sitting together outside in the palace garden beneath the night sky. William remarks that this is the very first time he has ever visited the garden at night. Shirley tells him that the temperature is perfect now and encourages him to go ahead and eat the bun. William takes the bun into his hands and finally bites into it. Shirley follows suit, and both of them immediately begin enjoying the meal. William is pleasantly surprised to discover that the soft bun is filled with meat. He admires how incredibly soft and chewy the white bread is, while the unique seasoning blended into the filling complements it perfectly. To him, the combination is exceptionally delicious. Shirley also finds herself enjoying the meal even more than usual. Since the meat bun is a small reward she has prepared for herself after a long day's work, it already feels like a special treat. Sharing it beneath the sparkling stars in the beautiful palace garden makes the moment even more memorable. On top of that, she is spending this peaceful time together with the young master himself, making the experience feel unexpectedly precious. As she continues enjoying the peaceful atmosphere, Shirley suddenly realizes that William has gently taken hold of her hand. Confused by the unexpected gesture, she instinctively wonders what is wrong. She lifts her gaze toward him, searching his expression for an explanation. At that moment, however, she still has no idea why he has chosen to hold her hand. After that exceptionally busy day, preparing meals for various members of the nobility gradually becomes a regular part of the maid's duties. The other maids can hardly believe that the noble ladies have left all of those responsibilities in their hands. At the same time, they realize that the experience has also allowed them to build several valuable connections. Some of them jokingly remark that it is like killing two birds with one stone, since one of those ladies even has a remarkably handsome brother. Shirley reflects that accepting these cooking requests was exactly the kind of opportunity she had hoped for. Nevertheless, she sincerely apologizes to everyone for how much additional work it has created. Anna reassures her that there is no need to apologize. In fact, she feels that the experience has benefited her as well. However, there is still one thing that continues to trouble her ever since that particular night. She cannot forget the expression Prince William wore that evening. Since then, whenever she sees him, he appears perfectly normal on the surface, yet there is something different about his eyes. No matter how ordinary he seems, his gaze always carries an unmistakable sadness. Just then, the door suddenly bursts open as Romain rushes into the room, immediately apologizing for the abrupt interruption. Every maid jumps in surprise, completely bewildered as to why the lunch chef has suddenly appeared in their quarters. An uneasy feeling immediately spreads among them, convincing everyone that nothing good can come from his unexpected visit. Without wasting any time, Romain walks straight over to Shirley and declares that he has come to challenge her to another cooking battle.